So I call our meeting to order. This is the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, June 27th. We're starting at 6:30 p.m. I'll ask us to all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you all for coming. We're starting a little bit early. And I mean by that, I mean Tracy. Carol.
She's getting paid to be here.
Yeah, I know, huh? Okay, let's jump right into the announcements. But before I do that, why don't we make sure, I know that we will be scheduling at 8 p.m. tonight, a hearing notice in this room on the application of Deborah Scriven of Hanson for an alteration of premise of Butterfields. Just want to put that out there. I'll read that again when we get closer to 8 o'clock. So, in the announcements, the Plymouth County Beekeepers Association is hosting a seminar, Dare Tick, One Bite Can Change Your Life, on Wednesday, June 28th at 7 p.m. at the high school. Featured speaker is Larry Dapsis. Is that how you pronounce it, Mary? I think it is, yes. Hopefully. This free seminar is open to the public. Volunteers are needed on the following committees: agricultural, capital improvement, disabilities, finance, energy, Memorial Day Patriot Observance, 200th anniversary, Nathaniel Thomas Mill committees. Applications for appointment and info on the committee is available on the town website at www.hanson-ma.gov. The Water Department has announced a water restriction which allows for watering with a handheld hose from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Sprinklers are not allowed. All town offices and transfer station will be closed next Tuesday, July 4th. We have upcoming meetings. The Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee will be held on Thursday, June 29th at 4 p.m. at Town Hall. And then we have 3 selectmen meetings, one on July 11th, July 25th, and August 15th, each at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall. All right, moving next onto our agenda is the presentation from MassWorks with us. I'm sorry, I didn't have your name. What's your name?
Erica Curry, I'm the director of MassWorks.
Hi, Erica. Thank you, and welcome for coming. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Chairman, I had reached out to Representative Josh Cutler and asked him and his assistant Cole to set this meeting up. And we certainly appreciate you coming. There's some specific areas in town we think that your organization can help us with. I know that I've reached out to your organization sporadically since I've been here, and I certainly have used your organization in other communities in which I've served. So I greatly appreciate you coming. MassWorks oversees 5 different grant programs, one of which I'm intimately aware of because we were actually lucky enough to get a STRAP grant when I was in the town of Avon for $500,000, which was a godsend. So this particular group does an awful lot of good work, and they're very helpful to towns and cities.
Erica, how do you spell your last name?
Kreuter, and my contact information is in the last
page?
page.
Thank you. I expected it on the front. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Is this all right?
Please, yeah, take it. Remember, we've got a great audience out there. Listen, hanging on every word you say.
So I'll just go through the slide deck, and if you have questions while I'm speaking, don't hesitate to interrupt. I'm happy to also talk to you about any specific projects that you might be thinking of in your community. Just as a reminder, if you are thinking of applying for the 2014 competitive round, grant applications are due between July 24th and August 4th of this year. So it is quite a tight timeline, but we are always
available to discuss any potential applications with any community throughout the year.
Thank you.
Welcome. So, to give you an overview, and I think Mr. McHugh had alluded to this, but the MassWorks program is really a consolidation of 6 former grant programs that were all housed within the administration, whether that be at MassDOT, at Housing and Economic Development, at Department of Community Development. So they were all housed in various parts with various restrictions, whether it be the amount of funding, the types of infrastructure that could be done with the grant. And we really saw an opportunity to streamline and create one program designed for public infrastructure, designed to unlock immediate private investment, whether that be through job creation or housing production. So that is kind of the consolidation of the program and where we are today. MassWorks now holds 1 competitive grant round each year, and we really look to kind of streamline that process, and I'll get to the timeline a little bit later. So through the consolidation, the program created funding priorities, and some of that it really stems from our statute, where per our statute we are required to align our investments with the state sustainable development principles. So we are looking to support multifamily housing of at least 4 units to an acre. We're looking to support economic development in weaker distressed areas. And we're looking also to support roadway safety in small rural communities. The STRAP grant that Mr. McHugh alluded to before to the town of Avon is for reserved, it's a 10% set aside reserved for communities that have a population of under 7,000. And that was the STRAP program was a previous program prior to the consolidation. And so these are the 3 carve-outs, or the 3 sections that I just mentioned are really our funding priorities and where competitive grants come in at. And so we're looking for,
What kind of job creations are there?
So we've looked to some
relevant to the infrastructure? Or?
Yeah, so where we can't fund the construction of a private building, for
Right.
example, what we could fund is the roadway necessary or a water sewer expansion project that's necessary to support that particular development. So if there are any infrastructure mitigation requirements, that is something that we may be able to fund through the program.
Like drainage?
Drainage.
Yeah.
So as long as it is public infrastructure on publicly owned land, that is something that we would be able to fund. But mind you, it is still a competitive program, so there's no guarantees that our funding is available for that type of work. But typically we find that the municipality is the applicant, and we really look for a strong partnership though with a private entity. So even though the municipality would be the lead, would be the ultimate awardee and be the one that we would be contracting with for the work, we're looking to make sure that there is that private entity component. So it's a private-public partnership between not only the state and the developer, but also the local municipality and the developer. Yep.
Erica, you had mentioned small communities
Yeah,
of under 7,000.
7,000 or less, yes.
So where would we fit in?
That's just for the strap, right?
That is just for the strap. So so this subsection of communities is limited to 7,000 or less. And those projects are up to $1 million. There's a limit of once every 3 years that you can receive an award. And that is a set aside for these communities under 7,000. A town of Hanson would be able to apply, but in the larger the categories where those categories are open up to all 351 communities in the Commonwealth.
So we just wouldn't be eligible for the strap.
Correct. Everything else you would be eligible for.
The Avon was under 5,000, so we would.
So just flipping to the next page, kind of what is public infrastructure? We're really fortunate with the consolidation of the previous programs. We have a tremendous amount of flexibility in terms of what we can fund for public infrastructure. So in Plymouth, we actually provided a match to Plymouth's T Wharf, which is a public wharf to support their blue economy. And we provided a $2 million award to the town of Plymouth. We actually, in Somerville, I don't know if you're familiar with the Assembly Square redevelopment project. That was a $25 million MassWorks award to the MBTA to construct the new Assembly Square T station. In that particular project, we were able to make a justification for such a large award because we were unlocking $1 billion private investment. There was a significant amount of investment made by the municipality through a DIF, and also the private developer contributing to all of the public infrastructure, not just the private development too. And actually, I just came back from Mashpee. That's where I came north from Mashpee. And I don't know if you've seen Mashpee Commons or had a chance to go out there. It is a kind of an underutilized, it was a former underutilized, kind of your typical mall, roadside mall. And the developer had a vision to create it into this really a town center. And so we were able to fund a kind of a typical MassWorks roadway extension, public roadway extension project to support the housing component now to this commercial center that's being created. This particular project is really focused on smart growth as well. So on the next page, you'll see our investment goals. And as I mentioned before, our statute requires that we're consistent with the state's sustainable development principles. And to that effect, we have established these program spending targets, meaning that to ensure that we are making consistent investments. So looking to make investments in gateway cities that are also TOD, meaning that there is either a convergence of a bus route or commuter rail stop, ferry stop, for example. So various forms of transit. We're looking to ensure that we are promoting growth on previously used sites too, so that looking to reuse those sites as opposed to making investments to support development on green fields. A mix of uses, meaning housing and either commercial, ground floor, commercial, retail, so that there's that housing component. And then a density of housing. The 100%, just to clarify, is that we want to make sure that if we're investing in a housing project, that it's at least 4 units to an acre, so that all of 100% of our housing projects are at least 4 units. So it's not that 100% of our projects are housing, it's that there's the 4 units to an acre requirement. And we're also looking to make investments that are regionally consistent or regionally impactful, and that is demonstrated either through letters of support from neighboring communities and also any type of regional planning that you may have been a part of that your RPA can validate through their review process of the applications, or that you can demonstrate in the application. So on the 6th slide, just to give you an overview. So since 2011, we've held 6 competitive grant rounds. We've received 716 applications for over $1 billion in requests. We have been very fortunate where the Baker administration has increased the available funding to the program. We have about $75 million. However, MassWorks is really designed to make strategic infrastructure investments to unlock private development. So in order to make sure that our investments are really unlocking that development, we're looking for not only a shovel-ready infrastructure project, meaning that it is ready to begin the following spring, but we're also looking to make sure that that private development has the ability to move forward. So the zoning is in place, their financing is secured. If it's a developer, we would look to see if they have tenants in place to move into. And so we're really looking to be that last piece of the puzzle too. So if it is an infrastructure project, if for the public infrastructure piece, we would want to see that all the other funding is secured too, and that there wouldn't be any barriers in terms of the type of permitting to either the private or the public project as well. So it is this extremely competitive grant program, and we're really looking to make as invest in as shovel-ready projects as possible that align with the principles that I've mentioned before. So over the last 5 years, this is just a map of what we've awarded, all the way up from mill redevelopment in North Adams, all the way down to the tip of Provincetown, where we provided funding for a porous pavement project that is actually helping drain water mitigation, and helping not only their commercial Main Street, but also ensuring the water quality of their harbor.
Those are the items in yellow.
Yep, so that's everything that we funded from 2011 to 2015. And then on the next page is the 2016 round. Just to give you an overview of what we funded last round, we were able to award nearly $85 million to support housing, economic development, and the roadway safety projects. Our average grant size was around $2.5 million. I'd say anything really above $2 million has to demonstrate significant private investment. We don't require any type of match at the local level for the public infrastructure, but we do look favorably on it as a commitment by the municipality. What else? We awarded, I think our largest grant last year was $13 million, and I believe our smallest grant size was under $100,000. So it varies greatly. The $13 million grant is leveraging, I believe, over $500 million in private investment. We do review all applications with not only the regional planning agencies, but also MassDOT, EEA, and Administration and Finance are all reviewers in the application review process. And during the 2016 round, we were able to unlock 2,200 new housing units in the Commonwealth, which is very much a funding priority. There is a huge need for new multifamily housing units, and that's something that the program is really looking to support. And we expect overall that our investments will unlock $1 billion in private investment from last year's round alone.
Is the Avon project Harrison Boulevard?
That should be, is it not on that?
I'd see that Avon is shaded in the map. I was just curious.
It should be that project, yeah.
And have you awarded any grants to surrounding communities? Looking at the map, it doesn't appear as though anybody in close proximity to us has been awarded any money.
To be honest, Brockton was awarded last year. Brockton actually received a $10 million award for a new parking garage to support redevelopment efforts. I would have to have a map out. Let me see. We haven't received too many funding requests in the South Shore area, in all
Yeah.
honesty.
That's interesting.
So if you're not getting the requests, you're not gonna give them to them, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Similarly, we didn't award anything in the Cape last year, for
Yeah,
example,
yeah.
and I think we only received one application. So that's why I'm actually very happy to be here tonight to
And
talk about the project.
There are communities that have been awarded more than once.
Correct. So there's, aside from that, the small rural community, there's no limitations on how many times you can be awarded. We've had communities that submit two applications in, per funding round, and sometimes they receive two, sometimes they don't receive anything. There's no limit. If you are thinking about applying for more than one, I would just say that you're competing against yourself at that point, and so you're making the round even more competitive by adding multiple applications.
So Mike, is this something that we could apply for in terms of fixing some of the storm drains on our main streets and
That's
side
exactly what I
roads?
was thinking. That's
'Cause
exactly
we've
what I was
got,
thinking.
Well, there's no drainage on a lot of them.
well,
They
we've
have
got,
to be started from scratch.
we've got some storm drains with cones sticking out of them that we gotta get fixed, you know?
So if you're thinking about doing that type of investment to support kind of downtown main streets, we would look to see what type of activity you've done to kind of promote economic or commercial growth along the corridor, and if that is some type of planning that you've gone through and that this has been identified, or you've looked to rezone the downtown to promote a mix of uses. We would be looking to see what steps you've done to promote more commercial activity, where we're not doing roadway maintenance, drainage maintenance. We're really looking to see kind of how our investment is going to unlock new potential.
so in our case, it's sort of one of those chicken and egg types of situations. The economic development can't really happen because it's so contiguous to wetlands until we figure out the drainage issue. We're at a stalemate, basically. So, okay. Well,
And I hear that many communities
Yeah.
are in your situation. Just the program is extremely competitive, so we would be looking to see what steps the community has taken to advance any type of opportunities or growth opportunities once the new infrastructure is in place.
We could do that through, I would imagine, we could do it through some planning steps, doing some special overlays and things of that nature, because the location that Laura is mentioning is actually a stone throw away from our commuter rail stop as
Yes.
well. So it's,
Yeah.
it's a combination of, a potential TOD and a PWED, and I mean, the whole 9 yards. It's really, I think, what the state's been looking to focus in on in terms of transportation, in terms of potential residential opportunities, affordable housing, and again, economic development.
Absolutely.
It's a perfect location.
Liberty Street's got a couple of things going on too.
Yep.
We might be able to squeeze in, right?
Yep.
In the property that they're renovating there. I also saw some surveyors out by the old house next to McDonald's, you know, that spot? The garage is all covered.
Was that yesterday?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was today, yeah.
I saw.
So, okay, that's good.
And so if we were to, and Mike probably knows this, but I don't, so, if we were to decide, gee, we think we want to, partner with you guys and maybe apply for something, have you got staff that is available to help coach us through the process and kind of work with us? And although you can't, help us draft the application, I'm sure you can point out pitfalls for the unwary and things we need to kind of be aware of.
Absolutely. So we're always open to meet with anyone to discuss any potential MassWorks applications. We're happy to have those briefing meetings where we would discuss strengths and weaknesses and provide just kind of a general sense of where we think it would fall. If you're thinking about applying this round, we would cut off any of those types of meetings starting July 24th. So that at that point during the application submission period, it's really just technical application questions.
I don't think we'd probably be
No,
looking
I
at
would-
July, but
You're probably right.
But we would be
Yeah.
happy to, so starting, I would say, in around January, once we've been able to go through this year's competitive round, we'd be more than happy to sit down with you, with a developer, if you'd like to bring a developer in too, just to talk about the program for sure.
No, Jim just mentioned the Housing Authority up here on County Road, and that land that's behind it on Liberty Street.
Yeah.
That actually would be ideal land for the Housing Authority if they could pick up something there, because it's close to the center of town,
Yep,
and the people can walk there like they do now,
sure.
to the shopping center and drugstore and so forth.
Yeah.
But it's private land, and they'll probably want to get top dollar for the land. But the Housing Authority, I think, tried to purchase that land, but it's too much money for them. Is that something that the town can do to help out on something in that vicinity? I mean, the state?
So providing funding to purchase the
Yeah.
land? So that's not something that MassWorks would be able to help with. I don't know if there are other funding programs.
Because they're always looking for more housing
Right,
there. 'Cause
absolutely.
people are getting older and they're living longer, and the people want the housing. And to
Absolutely.
try to find a location where you've got everything close by so that you don't need to drive there, it would be an ideal place in Hanson, because they discussed that when we were talking about moving something maybe up to the Plymouth County area, but it's too far away from everything.
But so maybe like community preservation could
Well-
potentially help with that, but, what, you could do something with, what, access to that, like?
Access to the
Okay.
site,
Infrastructure.
so infrastructure, so
Yeah.
if any of that land, say, was either given by permanent easement or given to the town, we could then, MassWorks could be used to create roadways into the site or something like that. In terms of purchasing properties for housing, while it is definitely a priority, that I will not disagree with. MassWorks, that's just
They
not
don't
something
do it.
MassWorks could
Yeah.
do. I would say maybe the folks at DHCD, which is the Department of Housing and Community Development, may have a program designed to help housing authorities. I'm just not aware of that program.
Because Hanson's a bedroom community, so all the money raised by the residents is what runs the town.
Yeah.
We don't have any large businesses that we can rely on, so it's very difficult.
Yeah.
We're not doing nothing with no money.
Yeah.
That's what it amounts
The
to.
bane of our existence.
So you're doing a Union Square Somerville project?
So we are assisting with on the next page, just to give you kind of an overview. So last year, we awarded $13 million to Union Square in Somerville. This will unlock 400 new housing units, transit-oriented development, the reuse of a previously developed site. The city is actually putting in $25 million towards the public infrastructure piece. This particular project is water sewer separation. And this is in addition to significant funding the town is also putting in, and the developers putting into the new T station that is going in there.
So that's interesting. Is that something that you guys would, again, you know, all things being equal, the application, you know, being what it needs to make the round, town sewer? Okay.
We can do subsurface and surface work, yes.
Okay.
Erica, I have kind of an interesting one, I guess.
Yeah.
And only because I was a past chairman of the Rec Commission.
Okay.
But we have Camp Kawani, which is just down the street. It's a single, narrow road with trees on both sides. But it is a source of business for the camp and for the town. Would this be something that MassWorks would get involved in to widen that area, to bring in more business to the lodge, whether it's a wedding or whatever,
Right.
or to the cove, with swimming lessons, beach passes, stuff like that? I mean, is that a possibility, or?
So it's a public roadway?
It is.
So yes, that is infrastructure that we could fund. Thinking about it in terms of the program's priorities, we would want to understand a true growth potential, and that if this particular camp has expansion plans, we would want to know what those expansion plans are. How many new jobs would be created? So we wouldn't be funding just a competitive application wouldn't be, we're going to expand this road because we anticipate more people going to this camp. It would be, we're going to build this road because the camp has expansion plans, and we as a community want to support these expansion plans and help mitigate traffic, say, on the road or something like that. So we would want to have an attainable development opportunity.
Okay, then basically no.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
wasn't sure if the.
Yeah, there would be, I don't think there would be any expansion
Okay.
plans because, they only own so much.
Right.
I thought it could bring in more revenue because it would be easier to get in and out.
Well,
Yeah.
that could be considered as expansion to a certain degree, expansion of service.
But we would want to see, we would need
A plan.
a plan
Oh, yeah.
or like,
Yeah.
the business plan, or to understand how this was actually going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not too far-fetched, no.
And the good thing is you provided examples here of what these other areas have done.
Yeah.
Where they've done improvements, which gave them the ability to get these grants,
Mhm.
right? So I see Riverfront Drive in Attleboro,
Yeah, so,
4.6 million.
yep. So Riverfront Drive is actually interesting because it's also right next to the Attleboro commuter rail station. And so this particular project, the city relocated their DPW site, and we're funding a new roadway that is going in that's unlocking parcels for TOD mixed-use development. So the city has rezoned, there's some development already occurring, but these particular development areas are now open to new opportunities. Yep.
And do you have a database of, like, past successful applications?
Yep, so all of our previous awards are online, and I can provide that. And just on the last page is the 2017 timeline. As I mentioned, applications are available online. All our applications are submitted online. We then have a 2-week window where they are due. In the fall, we will make announcements for the 2017 round. And I would say that going forward, this has been our consistent schedule for our funding round. So if you're thinking about submitting an application, this would be the timeline that would most likely be posted next year for the project, for the program. The other thing I would mention is that this year we actually will be announcing a dredging component. So there will be a 5% set aside for dredging projects, public dredging projects. We are still in the process of drafting guidelines and applications. So I don't know if this is something that would be of interest to your community, but we will be holding a separate grant cycle, and that will be announced a little bit later this year.
Well, thank you very much, Erica. I think this has opened us up to know what we can apply for. Certainly it helps, Mike, I think it'll, I've talked before about a professional grant writer, and I wouldn't mind getting somebody like that involved in this type of thing, so.
Definitely. We do try and make the application as simple and streamlined as possible, so we hope that it doesn't require some type of professional or outside consultant to do the work. Obviously, that is your decision ultimately, but we really tried to, it's not a lengthy CDBG application or anything like that. We're really just looking for.
I know the strap grant, and that was several years ago. That wasn't very complicated at
Yeah.
all. I know it was a page or two. And it certainly, Mr. Chairman, I've been successful, as I mentioned, not only in a couple of previous communities in terms of getting these sorts of awards. So, I'm comfortable moving forward with the assistance of Erica and her people to try to maybe get something in line for their next round of awards.
Yeah, I would say the heavy lift is just getting the project ready, hopefully not submitting the application. That is not our intent. So.
Because you have to have the project ready to start, like you said. Yeah, that makes sense too. That ties what you said. Well, thank you very much, Erica. I appreciate it. Are there any other questions?
No, thank you.
All my contact information is in the back.
On the last page.
Yep, I'm usually, just so you know, I'm usually best by email because I am on the road a bunch, but don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you again for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Super helpful.
All right, that was informative. The next item on our agenda is the town administrator's report. And if you'll notice on the agenda, we're listing out what those items are now. So first item up, Mike, is the police department lieutenant process.
Yeah, I wanted to let the board know that I have been having conversations over the last couple of weeks with the police chief, and that over the course of the next few days, we're going to be reviewing the proposals that have been submitted in regards to an assessment center for any candidates who wish to put in for the open lieutenant position. So the chief and I will be we'll be going over those proposals, and we will report something back to the board on the next meeting, which I believe is the 11th of July?
Yes.
Yeah, the 11th of July. So we're going to move forward on that now that we're entering the new fiscal year. We'll do the assessment center, or we'll set the assessment center up, and we'll move forward on that. But I'll have more concrete, and I'll ask the chief to join us at the next meeting. But I know there has been some interest as to where this is, stood, because I know it's actually been out there for a bit. So happy to say that, at the next meeting, we'll be able to inform you how we're going to move forward.
Geez, July 11th seems such a far away, doesn't it?
That's
mid-July.
the end of June.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. What do you get, next is Council on Aging monthly coffees?
Yeah, I actually, one of the suggested goals from the board over the last couple of weeks or so was more public outreach from Town Hall. And I thought that having a monthly coffee at the Council on Aging would be a perfect way to reach out to, at least to the senior population. So I've spoken with the director over at the Council on Aging, and we are setting up our first coffee on August the 9th. It's going to be on Wednesdays, once a month, at 10 o'clock so far. So in addition to that, once it gets up and running, I will invite a staff member to come with me from a different department each time, so they can also reach out, and we can get information out, answer some questions, and be more proactive than reactive. So I thought the board would be very interested in knowing that.
I think that's awesome. I think it's great, and that does speak to the increased outreach. So in addition to a member of the staff, du jour or whatever, of the week, were you hoping that somebody from the Board of Selectmen would attend?
Yes.
Or?
As a
Okay.
matter of fact, the chairman and I did something similar to that about 5 or 6 months ago. So, yeah, I'd be thrilled to also have a selectman come.
Okay, that sounds great.
It's good to have a selectman there, not polling them for votes, but just to listen to them,
Well, you can actually learn an awful lot from the seniors.
Absolutely.
Okay, you can pick up, Mike, and just keep going if you
Yeah.
want.
I had been asked at a previous meeting if I would I'd go into some of the transfers that we had done over the course of, and we did them back in May. Mass General Law allows us from, hold on one second, I'm just trying to get the list here. I
Oh,
apologize.
this is under
It's
item 1,
item 1TA2
TA2.
on your iPads.
Yep,
Mass General Law allows towns to do internal transfers, basically from account to account, from May the 15th to July the 15th, without the need to go to a town meeting. And recently, actually, the municipal streamlining legislation that went through the beginning of this year actually lifted the cap on how much we could move around and from what accounts we could move money. So we've employed those. Actually, we had a meeting with the FinCom. The Board of Selectmen may recall that they voted to empower me to sign on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, which the board did last year as well. So we ended up transferring, if you want me to go through the list, I think you have the list.
Well,
But,
well, the source account is where it's from, and the account
Yes.
with the deficit is where it went to.
yes, exactly.
And you've got the listed amount, so.
And if there are any questions, maybe I'll just ask if there are any questions on any particular transfers. By and large, they were to catch up on small amounts that we had actually run short on in terms of salary and things of that nature due to overtime and.
Does anybody have any questions on any amounts?
No, this is helpful though, Mike, because it just gives us an idea of the types of things you're talking about.
Sure
Yeah.
does, yeah.
And in addition to that, you also have a spreadsheet that illustrates the reserve fund transfers, which of course are a different procedure, but just to make you aware of the money that's been moved around in the last couple of months or so.
Some of them went into our buildings, right?
Yes.
Police and fire. And South Shore vocational. All right,
And I
very
want to
good.
thank Mary, because Mary put the spreadsheet together for
I
us.
can't tell, Todd provided
Oh, he
it to me.
did? Oh,
I scanned it.
Oh, okay, huh?
And as a note on the agenda items, guys, you'll see on the left where it says 1 to 2 or
One TA,
one
town
TA,
administrator.
town administrator, yeah, that's it. And then you'll see 2, 3, 4. Those match to the items on your iPads, so Mary's gonna get me out of a job pretty soon. That's pretty good, Mary. Nice job. And then, what do we got next, Mike?
So if there were no questions on that, and if you do have questions, in the next couple of days, as you look at that, certainly reach out to me and I'll explain into more depth. I wanted to let the board be aware of the fact that I attended a Mayflower Municipal Health Group meeting approximately 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I know that I had been talking about the fact that that particular group had not been in great solvent shape the last few years. There's been 2 back-to-back approximately 15% increases to health insurance, which of course is borne by the town as well as the employee that avails himself of our insurance offerings. I was actually surprised to find that although we lost 4 communities, or that group lost 4 communities, it seems like the loss of their experience rate actually has helped its particular group, and its outlook is cautiously optimistic for the next couple of years. So I know that I had been talking doom and gloom over the course of the last year or so, and I'm not going to say that the group is completely out of the woods, but the report that they've given us in terms of their fiscal solvency, it seems to be better now. So obviously, we wish for its continued success. It's actually a wonderful health offering to our employees. But as I had mentioned before, when I was concerned about its solvency, we will continue to look to see if it makes sense to go in another direction. And to that end, I'll be meeting in the next couple of weeks or so. I'm going to meet with a couple of communities that do not belong to any particular group to see if it makes sense to go in with them to do a joint purchase. So although I'm happy with where I see this group going, I'll always keep an eye out to see if it makes sense to move in another direction. I also wanted to report to the board, and I thought this was quite significant, is Treasurer Collector Jeannie Sullivan was re-elected at that meeting to the Finance Committee of Mayflower. And in addition to that, Christine Sukow from the school department was also elected, and actually she's a new member. So the area is very well represented, at least in terms of that FinCom. And I congratulate and I thank the two of them for taking the time to serve on that committee.
Great.
The next thing I wanted to mention very briefly is we have put in, through the Council on Aging, we put in a grant request with BAT, Brockton Area Transit, for a grant for a new van for the Council on Aging. It'll be if we get it, it'll be a Type C minibus, a 14-passenger minibus, which is just small enough that you don't need a CDL. And the approximate value, if we were lucky enough to be awarded it, is between $70,000 and $80,000. So we'll hold our breath and see if we'll be lucky enough to get it. That is very generous. It's actually a federal program that's funneled through the regional transportation organizations. So it would really be great if we were able to get that. And I think
If they get it, can they use it to transport people to and from places, or
Yeah.
just be used for the housing for the elderly?
No,
Okay.
let's
How many
see,
passengers did you say that was?
14.
Okay.
I wonder if Sam Hammond will be driving it. Remember Sam?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Next, I wanted to make the board aware of the fact, the board voted at the its last meeting to allow me to execute a contract with
IT.
MX Consulting,
Yeah.
which is our new IT provider out of Raynham. There was a meeting today between our current IT provider, which is the Whitman Hanson Regional Schools, and MX, and a couple other entities, a couple other people. We are on board, partially on board in terms of the conversion. You know, the administrative access has been created for us. Remote access is just about up and running. They're in the middle of moving the servers from schools to the police department, and everything is really progressing quite well. So we're happy. It was a very advantageous contract that we signed. Again, it's a one-year contract. At the end of that 1 year, if we want to move in a different direction, we certainly are able to do that. But with any luck, this will be a solution that will make sense for the town of Hanson for some years to come.
Now, you had sent us that contract by email after the last meeting too, so you may not see it here, but you did have it in your email, so. Thanks, Mike.
Let's see, what's next? The board may be aware of this already, but I wanted to make sure it definitely was. We had talked in the past about the fact that the town, in conjunction with Halifax and Whitman, had put in for a grant for GIS funding, for a GIS system. We were awarded that grant to the tune of $43,000. That is moving forward. Matter of fact, I signed off on an agreement within the last couple of days to push it forward. And I want to make sure that we recognize the efforts of our assessor, Lee Gamache.
Gee, yeah.
Yep.
I remember
And-
talking about this.
And our town planner, Laurie Muncy, who's
And
here.
Lori.
It was really the
Right,
two of them
yeah.
that spearheaded this, and their original approach had a lot more communities in it, and it just was too big and didn't get through. So they went back and they retooled it, put it in a smaller scope, and were successful in getting the money. So I thank them very much for all their efforts.
We'll be able to find all the properties online and real quick, right? Yeah,
We love grant money.
that's terrific, thank you. Complete street prioritization, Mike, 1 to 2, 1,
Yeah, lastly, I believe that's...
T8, 2 and B, 2B, excuse me.
So we have a couple of different documents on there. One will be an extremely large document. It will be it's a long spreadsheet which itemizes the various projects that have been submitted.
Yep,
The next one is all the projects. It will be a map, and behind the next document down will be the cost for that particular item.
price list.
Lori had managed to get this stuff to me, and it was in several different documents. So I pulled it all apart and scanned it all as one to make it a little bit easier to go through as Mike goes through the list. And then the third document on the iPads will be the cost per item list. That's just one page, and it just shows you what the unit price is for some of the things.
And basically, all I wanted to go through, and we had talked about this again at the last meeting, that Laurie and I, the police chief, the fire chief, the highway surveyor, the chairman of the planning board, the chairman of conservation, and Mary and I. Am I missing anyone?
Dawn.
Oh, and Dawn, I'm sorry, I apologize. And Selectman
right.
Dawn Howard was there.
I was there,
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
And we did review all of the potential projects that were presented to the board at the last meeting, and we did prioritize them. As Mary mentioned, there is a spreadsheet. It's the type is fairly small, but I'm just going to go through it really quickly. The first priority is the sidewalk connection on Franklin Street. Actually, no, that was the original first priority.
Liberty Street.
I apologize.
That's the last.
That's the last one now. I apologize for that.
So the first one
Actually,
is
the first priority is
Liberty Street,
the
County Road?
the crossing in front of the Dunkin' Donuts
Oh, yeah, well, Mike mentioned.
on Liberty Street and County Road.
Yep.
You know, it was decided, especially when we were talking with our public safety representatives, that really was the priority in terms of perhaps getting money and being able to make some changes there in terms of signalization and some handicap accessible ramps and things of that nature.
Wasn't it like 87 accidents there or something like that?
87 accidents going as far back as, I believe, the Shaws.
Yeah.
And along that particular strip.
Since 2011.
10 to 11?
The second priority is actually right in front of Town Hall. It's the intersection of Liberty and Winter. The concern there is, as I think Jim Fitzgerald had said, basically it almost looks like off-ramps and on-ramps to an expressway. So the proposed project there is to narrow those and make them much more tighter and hopefully reduce the speeds and the potential accidents.
Yeah. Hanson Middle School driveway?
Number three is the intersection in front of the middle school on Liberty Street, and that's actually, I believe that's only going to cost about $15,000 some odd dollars.
Yeah.
And that's, again, that's ADA curb cuts, ramps, improvements to the crosswalk, and improvements to the push buttons for the signalization.
Nice, Mike.
Number 4 is a new sidewalk on High Street from Main Street up to the Plymouth, up to the Plymouth County Hospital. And of course, the notion there is once we decide on what we're going to move forward with on that site, it'll make it much easier in terms of access, in terms of foot traffic to get to it. Number 5 is bicycle lane striping on Route 58. Actually, the entire length of 58.
It's 134,600.
Halifax to Whitman.
That would be pretty cool. Oh, is that the map in blue, Mary? The one, the blue line?
Yeah,
Know
up
what
in the
I'm talking about?
left-hand corner of that
Yeah.
particular slide.
Okay.
It's on-
And then more bicycle lane stripping on Main Street, right? Which is 27?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Main Street bicycling lane.
Yes,
striping?
number 6, I apologize.
Number 6,
I
no
jumped
worries.
ahead. So, yeah, a very similar project on Main Street. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the 6 that we were able to present, right? I mean, they basically pick off of the top 6. Yeah, so you'll see, and I won't go into depth on the rest of them, but we went through and we prioritized the other potential projects that were presented to the board at the last meeting. But odds are that they won't be picked up, but at least they're put on the table, they're put on the radar going forward. Should more money become available or another opportunity becomes available. But these are the 6 that we primarily are pushing to see if the state will fund, and with any luck, we'll hear back and we'll get some money to move some of these things forward. And again, this is something that I really need to thank Laurie for, again, spearheading, and she's doing a wonderful job in being very,
Proactive on this.
a lot of innovation.
Lori, can I ask you a question? How did you come to some of these locations? Just based on traffic studies and so forth, or?
Well, first we did our own compilation, and then we brought in the public safety personnel to give their input. And once we got that, we reprioritized based on what they felt was important. And that's why this corridor out front is at the top of the list.
Very cool. That's good to know.
I think it all makes sense, too, really, as far as priorities. I think it's a great list.
Yeah, it is.
And they'll find up to $400,000 worth of improvements.
And I think it was important, too, because we did sit down, as I mentioned, with the really pertinent professionals that work for the town of Hanson to cooperatively come up with what makes the most amount of sense in terms of if we do get the funding.
Yeah. Sidewalk along Winter Street, that would be pretty cool, yeah. Geez, that's terrific, thank you very much. Hopefully the public sees this list too, I'm sure they do. Is that it, Mike?
Yes, sir.
And Mike, these are the projects that we have to come up with the 10%.
No, there's no match for this. The 10% would be for the project on Route 14.
Okay.
The project that's on the tip right now. We come up with the 10%, which basically covers the engineering.
So that's something that we had, so this complete street prioritization list was something that we had as a follow-up from last meeting, thank you. All right, I guess moving on to new business, we have the review and approve the ADA grievance procedure. This should be item 2 on your iPads. This is the Americans with Disabilities Act. Hopefully you've had time to review it. I know I have.
I did too.
It is item 2 on your agenda. It's only one page. And basically, if there's a complaint, it has to be issued, or the complaint has to be recorded no later than 60 calendar days after the alleged violation, sent to the town administrator here at Liberty Street. Within 15 days after the receipt of the complaint, the town administrator will meet with the complainant and discuss the complaint with possible resolutions. And then after the 15-day period, you respond in writing, which I thought was pretty good, Mike.
Well, the effort there, Mr. Chairman, and I don't recall whether it was the last meeting or the meeting prior to that, we did appoint our first member to the Disability Committee, and in looking at moving that committee forward and actually lining us up for any potential ADA grants with the state, there are certain things that the state requires to be in place. So I went back and I took a look at what we had on the books in terms of what the state was looking for, and we did not have something like this. It's rather simple, and it's something we should have. And again, it will, with it in place, it'll advance us up the ladder in terms of potential grant money. And there'll probably be 1 or 2 other things that I bring before you in the next couple of meetings along those lines as well.
And Mike, is this fashioned after state statute?
Yes.
I would imagine that these are required timelines?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this actually, in all honesty, and I always admit when I plagiarize something, this basically was taken from the state
Okay.
recommendation, the
ADAs?
state recommended policy.
So I would look to, for a motion to approve the ADA grievance procedure.
Yes, motion.
So moved.
Laura seconded.
Was that a so moved on? I'm not sure.
Donnie made the motion.
Okay.
Were there any questions on it, folks? I think it's pretty straightforward. All right, let's call a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is the approve and vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the contract with the Gowrie Group. This should be on item 3 on your iPads. This is the company that we as a town deal with for consulting services on injury on duty claims. The total amount is $2,700 for the services, and this is an annual contract, isn't that right, Mike? Yes.
And
July 1 through July 1, 2018.
We're actually fairly lucky because, to the best of my knowledge, we haven't had to use them all that often, but when you need to use them, it's a very valuable service.
Yeah, I talked to Mary on this too, and I know that they do a lot of good work, a lot of the background and paperwork and legwork on the general services.
Oh, yeah.
And records, so this is money well spent for our town.
So is this a flat 2,700 regardless of how many people may or may not use? Okay, all right, wow.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
that's
a deal.
Yeah, that's a relative
We
bargain.
brought this type of service on a few years back after we had a big claim in one of the departments, and we spent a lot of money on town council.
Sure.
To help us through it,
Yeah.
and
This is,
And I can say that I, again, in a previous community, had experience with this group, and they were very helpful in a couple of similar instances.
okay, so I would entertain a motion to, would this be to allow you to sign, Mike? Sign this
Yes.
contract, allow the town administrator to sign the contract with the Gowrie Group.
Moved.
May I just add?
Discussion.
Yeah, we've had council look at this, Mike, or
Contracts,
it's, okay, all right.
That's a good point, all contracts reviewed with council. Good point.
This one was easy because it's boilerplate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't hear a second.
Was the motion seconded?
Somebody seconded.
Yes, I
it,
did.
yeah.
Kenny did,
Yeah.
okay.
I didn't hear him.
Are there any
I'll
further?
speak louder. Don.
Quiet.
Are there any further questions? Well, further questions, we're gonna have to get that fixed, Mike, that noise, you know what I'm saying? Especially over Mary's head, I know. Okay, no further questions, then we'll call the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Next, we have to approve and vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the contract with Hassett Financial Services. This is our town accountant, who I hear a great deal of praise for. Todd does do a great job. Contract has, I think it's a total of 6 pages, and it's the same contract, just with the changed dates from last time. Isn't that right, Mike, or no?
No, actually, what has happened is
Confidentiality?
our accountant was actually a vendor. He was a consultant from a different company, and that company is disbanding. So what Todd Hassett has done is he's created his own company.
So he's his own contractor?
He's his own contractor,
Okay.
and we're thrilled that we are going to be able to maintain the relationship with him, because as you just mentioned, Mr. Chairman, nobody has a bad word to say about him. I mean, his help is invaluable.
And he's willing to go 3 years instead of the once.
So I imagine,
Originally, it was 1 year with 2 one-year options.
okay.
And I told him I'd really be more happy just guaranteeing
We
that
only
we
do
have.
minimum of 3s, tell him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this
He's
is a
happy to hear
3-year
that.
contract?
Yes,
And he started his own limited LLC, right?
yes.
I see, okay.
That's great.
And so, again, did we have town council review this
Yes,
contract?
yes.
Okay.
Wow. I was mistaken. I don't know. Did he take certain sections that were the same? I think,
He probably
It
fashioned
is very similar to the other.
yeah.
Yeah, he probably fashioned it after the last contract.
Yeah.
But I know he also engaged an attorney to help him put together what
Sign
he
this.
proposed to us.
Cool. Yeah, would've been nice to have him as an employee of the town, I guess, but
Now,
It's actually-
does everything Tuesdays, that nothing will change as far as that?
No, actually, we're more than likely to get him in a bit more. We're
Okay,
probably
good.
gonna get more hours as opposed to
good.
just the Tuesdays. Although he was able to do pretty much everything in one day, and I can tell you from speaking with other communities that have been after him, and he's been able to assist, he has a wonderful reputation throughout, southeastern Massachusetts.
I mean, I think the world of him. I think the beauty of this contract is we get all of the wonderful attributes of Todd without any of the
pension.
liability. We don't
Yeah.
have the, any of the-
Vacation, benefits, all of
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
yeah.
He's carrying his own, and, workman's comp, general liability insurance, yeah.
I was thinking that after I said we should have him as an employee, but yeah, it's actually, but it makes up on the financial aspect of it too.
Yep.
It's not,
I think we should vote for he changes his mind.
yeah.
These are for all the projects in town.
I'd like to make a motion to allow Town Administrator Mike McHugh to sign Hassett Financial Service contract with the term beginning July 1st, 2017, and expiring June 30, 2020.
Second that motion.
Laura Kemen has seconded the
Yeah.
motion.
But that's
And now
it.
that's all the board's voted.
Discussion? Any questions?
There'll be more. This is the first jumping off.
I'm going to say aye.
All those in favor? Aye. 5-0. Hurry up and do that one, right?
Yep, thanks, Todd.
Number 5 is approve and vote to authorize the town administrator to sign the contract with Strategic Auction Alliance for the sale of town possessions. So this is item 5, and you'll see that this is a contract for,
Well, that's a proposal. We're
Proposed?
working on the contract.
okay,
I would ask the board to allow me, when that contract comes in, to sign it. I'll certainly forward it to the board, and I will have it reviewed by town council, but I expect to have that contract in the next couple of days. We actually, we use a consultant, a legal consultant with all of our dealings with land, by the
Yes.
name of Laura Brown.
yeah, she's on here, I saw that.
Oh, okay, yeah, her name,
We-
yeah, actually, the proposal came to her, and she forwarded it to us, but
She tax title attorney?
yes, she and I have had a conversation about a couple of things she would like to see in a contract when it comes forward. But, so on her advice, I'd be very comfortable moving forward. We just don't have the actual contract yet, but by and large, 95% of the stipulations are within this, this proposal. It's just a couple of legal things.
Mike, this is the
protections she'd like
auction,
to
the
see.
tax title land?
Yeah, those 6 or 7 pieces that we've been discussing for quite some time.
So this is just a proposal, not the contract?
No, that's not the contract.
Okay.
But again, I'm looking for permission, if the board's comfortable with me reviewing with basically special counsel, which would be Laura Brown, when she and I come to an agreement that it makes sense to execute it and move forward.
And just for the note, though, their fee was paid, what, 8% of gross sale amount?
Yep.
It's pretty standard, though.
That's, yeah, and that's actually an 8% kicker on top of whatever we get.
Right. Okay, so we don't have to vote on this then? I'm
Well,
taking
I would request that you vote to allow me,
A general okay.
yeah.
I would entertain a motion to allow Town Administrator Mike McHugh to work with Laura Brown on this detailed proposal for the Strategic Auction Alliance.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions?
I'm sorry,
No, go ahead, Ken.
when do you expect the property to go to auction, Mike?
Well,
gonna be
obviously,
at
it's
the
dependent
contract.
upon the execution.
I
of the
mean,
contract.
timeframe, this year,
Oh,
a
yes,
couple
no, very
months?
much so, yes,
Okay.
yes, hopefully before the end of the summer.
Okay,
Okay.
excellent.
That was one of my questions, Mike, but if we authorize you to accept the contract, and then it's different than the 8%, or it's some crazy
Oh, yeah.
figure?
No, I wouldn't go forward with it.
Okay.
Well, it's like I said, Jim, it's 95% of it is predicated on what you see in the proposal. Laura had suggested, of course, as an attorney, she's been involved in a lot of these sorts of interactions. There were a couple of things that she wanted to see in a contract that she hadn't seen in some others in the past, so she wanted to make sure those were in there. So that's the only reason I don't have an actual
Okay.
contract in front of you guys tonight. But obviously, her being an attorney, it'll be reviewed by an attorney, so.
Right, so it's nothing out of pocket for the town anyways, it's just whatever we, okay, perfect.
But to Jim's point, I know that you would do this, but I think it bears just saying, to the extent that any of the terms that are outlined in this RFP that
I
they've
won't
sent
move
back, okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll see the contract anyway.
Yeah, no,
final
I'll send you a
contract, right?
copy of it when I get it.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
But
And it'll be reviewed by legal, too.
In all honesty, I wouldn't send it to you if I got it in and I was uncomfortable with it. I'd tell you that this is out
Okay.
of the scope that I think you guys understand and I understand, so.
Okay, then I'm good.
Okay, we had a motion that's been made and seconded for Mike to move forward on this. All those in favor? Aye. 5-0.
Thank you, we'll finally get that moving.
The next item we have is item 6B, which is a discussion and review of the committees. Did we want to table this one until we get the details? I mean, we've got a list of the committees. What we're trying to do, I think the idea was to see which ones we can try to merge.
Well, I did a little background on some of these, so the next, as you slide through that document,
Yep.
it will show the creation of the Economic Target Committee, the Energy Committee, the Thamel Thomas Mill, Oldham Pond. I was doing some other research on the Street Safety Committee, and I just never got it finished.
Yeah.
So,
We were just looking for like, I know, we weren't clear on what we were looking for, just for what the general overview of what each committee does.
Yeah, what they're
Mary.
responsible for.
Well,
So-
I think one of the things the board was interested in, and this is going back several months, is the potential consolidation of some similar boards, the Recreation Commission, the Memorial Field Commission, the Parks and Fields, et cetera.
Right.
So, and I'm not sure if I could mention it at the last meeting, but what we had talked about several meetings ago was a potential workshop where we bring in members of those boards, and we talk through the potential of melding some, if not all of them, because it's not the type of thing, well, it's not the type of thing, if you have people who are volunteering their time for no money to serve on these boards, that you want to just kind of make these unilateral changes, you want to have them involved. You want to get their input, and there very well could be some things that we are unaware of that couldn't be taken on by a larger board. So it's something that I think needs to be very inclusive And,
Doubtful, yeah.
and with the board's acquiescence, I will, at this point, move forward and reach out to the chairman of all of those particular committees and set up a working session. And we'll start that conversation, and I certainly invite any member of the Board of Selectmen, if they're available, to participate.
If you could let us know when, Mike,
Yeah,
that'd be good.
just let us know.
Yeah, and like I said, it'll be a working session, it won't be a formal session like this.
I think I'd
So-
start with the ones with the most vacancies too, right? Like the
Yeah,
bylaw and master plan committee is 4 vacancies out of 5 positions, and
Well, there may be some committees that, in all honesty, the board feels are no longer relevant. You know, I hate to just throw that out there, and I can't pick one at this point. And very well, maybe they're all relevant, but there may be some that have, you know, passed through the value, you know, the value.
Now, the bylaw committee, I know this was brought up a while ago, that our bylaws are not necessarily in sync with state bylaws, and so it seems to me like, if we're going to resurrect, the bylaw committee, that our first step would be to have our council take a look at our bylaws, make sure that they've been refreshed and that they are consistent and parallel to what the state bylaws are, so that when we get those lucky little individuals who have volunteered to be on the bylaw committee, we're giving them as good an updated list of bylaws as they can possibly work with.
Yeah, or state statutes that we may
Yeah.
need to adopt. And,
Yeah.
you know, what I've found, Laura, and I've been involved in these committees, again, in other places, is it's very difficult, and I'm not saying anybody's suggesting this, but it's very difficult to make wholesale changes to bylaws. So what we would want to do is kind of stagger them
Yep.
in terms of parts, because you go to town meeting and people just get too inundated, and they get concerned because there's too much information in front of them, and they don't want to make wholesale
And they're not all the
changes.
same priority. I mean, some are more important to address immediately and, you know, yeah. I
Yes.
think it would be quite overwhelming for people
Yeah,
to.
so I will work on setting that up, and I will inform the board of some target dates, and let me know who might be able to attend, and, you know, it may necessitate a posting if we've got 3 members, but, you know, we'll do whatever we need to.
and thank you, Mary, for putting this together
Thank you.
and reminding me that I am on the Economic Target Area Committee. Good Lord.
Yes, and we're doing those reappointments, so, when we get to the reappointments on the iPads, the positions that the selectmen hold are highlighted.
Yep.
So we can make changes there. People
Okay.
can volunteer for committees
Yep.
or not.
All right, so, Mike, thank you for reaching out on those, I appreciate it. I think that's what we had in mind too,
Yep,
right, Lauren?
absolutely.
Next item we have is the discussion relative to the McQuon School Transition Committee. Laura, I know that we last voted and that you were going to be the selectman chairman on this, or no,
Yes.
just selectman on it.
Yes.
And once you regroup, but you had also sent a note on what you thought, who should be voting membership of that group?
Yeah, so I don't, is that in the attached?
not, but
Okay.
Yes, your letter should be in there.
No, not my, about the,
The McQuon
You-
review.
okay, yeah, great.
I sent it to myself on that, so.
That was thoughtful of you,
Yeah.
because now we can read it.
Didn't I put it, I think it's,
No, this was
is it
a,
number
It's
7, isn't it?
okay, Mary, it was
This
probably-
email?
There's an email in here.
no, there was another one she sent on
No.
June 26th.
Yeah.
Basically, is that the one?
Oh, and I have the one from the 16th, and then Mike's response on the 26th.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
missing that one?
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, when we think about that McQuon Transition Committee, we always obviously want to make sure that we've got everybody at the table that potentially could be involved in how that piece of property and/or building is used. So thinking about it, you know, some of the things that have been discussed are potential senior, you know, center type of thing, a housing type of thing. I think we had suggested planning, but I thought about that, and I'm not really sure, you know, that I'd obviously want Lori or somebody available, but I don't know that she has to necessarily go to the meetings, because whatever's done with that property is likely not going to, at least from our perspective, involve planning, but again, I'd leave that up to you guys to decide. You know, I mean, we're not talking about probably putting a development in there. So that didn't really seem to make sense. And then, who else did we suggest? Obviously, school committee.
Yeah, you said.
And I think, no, Ernie Sandlin being a non-voting member. And then a school committee member, and then we talked about 3 at-large
Yep,
members.
Yep, a selectman and yourself
Yeah,
and
yes, in
and three
addition to me as a
at-large, yes,
selectman.
yes.
Does that seem, to the rest of the committee, does that make sense to everybody, or
So it would be a total of, is it a total of 7 members?
No, 5.
5?
Yeah.
5
I thought it was
voting
7,
members?
5 voting.
5 voting
Five
members.
voting
5 voting members only.
You don't want to create
Too
Yeah.
big of a,
too big, exactly, unwieldy board.
but
Yeah.
you've got 3 at-large people. I thought that was
Right,
pretty good.
because we do need that public input. We really need to know, there's a lot of different ways we could go with it, and we need to get, everybody's perspective on that.
Can we get Laura a copy of the assessment?
Oh, the
We
one
have
from
that?
a few years ago, yeah.
A few
we're
years
getting-
ago,
Yes,
right?
we're getting a copy.
So the things that I had asked Mike, I said, if we're gonna hit the road running here, that I would like to see if we could have the assessment that was done of McQuon
Yeah.
that basically said, what type of shape the systems and various components of the building are in. And then if we could get a commercial appraisal of the building and the land, so that we've got an idea of what we're dealing with. Obviously, if we were ever to sell it, we'd take it a step further and, and I think that if we could at least have that information, that would help us kind of get the conversation going.
So from what you're saying here, Laura, what we're asking the public, am I wrong, is we need 3 at-large citizens to apply to the McQuon Transition Committee to help
Right.
give us input on what we're going to do with that property, okay?
Yep.
So I'm making an appeal to audience members and obviously inside here, as well as outside of Hanson, outside of the building, town hall, to apply as soon as possible. Do we want to put a deadline on that or
Well,
something?
Mary, I think you'll post it like you usually do,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
So I don't know what,
Tracy will handle it.
I don't know, let's talk through the timeline. When would you, maybe?
Maybe a month because
I
of
was gonna
vacation
say,
and
we probably
summer
won't
and-
get it by July 11th, but perhaps the next meeting after that?
25th.
Sure.
Yeah,
And I'll reach out to the school committee to see if they'll appoint somebody
Appoint
or
some- yeah.
suggest somebody who could be appointed.
yeah, because again, clearly, the primary purpose will be to determine what we do with the building, but we also need to make sure that we've got continuous communication with the school district and ourselves about what their plan is, for mothballing it, so that we can coordinate, picking it up and moving it forward.
They
So,
definitely need to be
yeah,
involved.
so we've got those 2 components at the same time, so I think it does make sense to have
Things like, where are we
Ernie.
gonna vote once that building's gone?
If it comes, yeah.
There's gotta be a plan.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's terrific. So
Okay.
Yep, I like it.
I think that's a general consensus, is an agreement.
So I don't know if we
Yes.
need a vote on that?
I think, did we vote or
Yeah,
did the
we
board
think
vote
we
to
already
create
voted you in.
the
Well, you
committee other
voted to
than?
put me in, but I
Yeah.
didn't know if the composition of the
I
committee
don't
we hadn't
believe we-
voted.
We
No.
did not do
I like
that.
it. I think it's fine. The 3 that you
Shall
mentioned.
we vote on this?
Yes, I would
Okay.
suggest that.
That's-
So I would entertain go ahead, Laura, you read it, Mary. Give it a
So,
shot.
no, I'm checking. It's a school committee, selectmen, and 3 citizen at large
Those
Correct.
will be voting members.
members, and then several non-voting members, which would include the building inspector, town engineer, housing and planning, senior services, and, well, she's planning anyway, conservation.
Yeah, okay. And those will be non-voting,
Non-voting, but
part of the-
participating.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
moved.
Second.
So you get that motion, Mary?
Dawn's away.
5 members of that board, and the Constitution, that the 5 voting members would be a selectman, school committee member, and 3 at-large citizens, as well as the other parties from various departments. Motion's been made and seconded, is that correct? Was it
Yes, sir.
seconded?
Yep,
Yes.
Ken
Okay.
seconded.
Any further discussion or further comments? All right, and of course, you'll be inviting the public, right? for any
Absolutely,
input,
we want,
absolutely.
we want all kinds of input, as
Right.
much input as people
Can
want to give, we
provide,
want,
yeah.
yep.
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Laura, for taking on that. That's something that's duly needed. All right, we've got, next on our agenda is the liquor license. Oh, no, we got 10 minutes. Can we start early, or what are we doing?
No.
Because it's posted.
Right.
We
So,
can keep
well, I'll tell you what, why don't the Eagle Scout project request is here. Would 10 minutes be enough time for you, or no?
That should be enough.
All right, why don't you start? Come on up. And your name is Caleb Parkinson?
Caleb Parkinson, I'm from Troop 22 from Whitman.
Welcome, Caleb. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. So what I need is a approval in order to work on the property at the high school, because every part I'm working on for my project is in Hanson. So all I need is approval from you guys and one signature from you guys, or all of you can, I can have all of your signatures, it doesn't matter to me, just one.
You can give the town administrator the authority to sign plus. What's the project?
Oh, the project, I'm sorry, yeah. The project is a cross-country course that I'm building. If you'd like to see the route, I have a picture of it right here.
Sure.
So this is a running course, so that what, our kids aren't running in the streets anymore?
Yeah, that's what we're trying.
All around the high school.
Yeah, the circle, the large circle area is the whole area I'm working in. The small circle area is some big projects I'm working on, because over there I have to first fill in a trench that was built there by one of the school teachers. And then also there is a part, there's a conservation area right there that I'm planning on building a bridge over. So that's.
You gotta go through that group. to
Yeah,
make
well,
sure
yeah, I
that
need
it's done.
permission.
So the
from you
pen mark,
guys.
Caleb, that's the trail?
That's the whole area that I'm
The
working on.
small one and the large one.
The small one is the bridge and the trench, and the large one is the whole area I'm working
Okay,
on.
cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to cut a lot of trees?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Laura.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna be cutting back a bit of brush. Yeah.
Okay, so if,
Not trees, just
so
brush.
you,
Well, brush and branches as well. I won't be cutting down any trees.
Saplings.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Saplings.
and you are going to meet with conservation?
Yeah, I'm planning
Okay.
on meeting with conservation hopefully soon. They haven't gotten back to me yet, so.
Okay,
Oh.
because it's sounding like a lot of that, the brush and wetlands and trench and all that stuff, like, we can give a certain amount of permission, but then,
Yeah, the
yeah, they've
conservation
got,
area.
they've got jurisdiction over some of that piece there, so.
You'll see
Yeah.
Phil Clemens who'll take care of you for that.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Who's gonna help you? Sorry, Jim.
Oh, well, help me with the project?
Yeah, like,
Yeah, well, my troop, I actually got some help over from the Hanson troop
oh, okay.
as well. Some teachers have also said they would like to help me with the project, and of course, my family would also like to help me with the project, so I'll have plenty of help.
that's great. And
How-
what
how's
gave you
the-
the idea for this?
My coach is actually talking about how it's kind of a hassle, crossing the street and everything.
Sure.
And,
Running through town, I see them running through the
Yeah.
Whitman Center and everywhere,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So Caleb, just to make sure that everyone is clear, you are a member of the cross-country team.
Yes, yes.
Also.
I am also a member of the cross-country team.
Okay, and the whole idea of this is to make sure that there are no high school runners running on the streets of Whitman and Hanson.
For practice, they probably will be, because that's just what we do for practice. This is for the actual meets. During the meets, we're going to run over, so instead of crossing the street and disrupting traffic going into the high school, we won't be crossing traffic at all. So,
Do you have to raise any money for this?
not a lot. I will have to raise a little bit of money, but not a lot, probably a couple hundred around there.
And I'm assuming you've been in contact with Bob Rogers?
Pass it back.
Yes, I've been in contact with Bob Rogers. I actually met with the school superintendent's secretary, and that's actually, she told me to contact you guys about this first, because I need your approval and the Conservation Committee's approval before I can get the school's approval, so.
Well, you have my blessing, Caleb.
I think that's a great idea. I see those kids running out in the street sometimes well, not out in the street, but you know what I'm saying, on the side, and I know it can be, if there's a bunch of them at once on the sidewalk, it can be,
Yeah.
in the way. So I think that's a terrific idea. Great job. What made you came up with this with your coach?
Yeah, with my coach, yeah, and I've also discussed some ideas I've also added with my coach, with my father and scout
That's,
assistants.
When are you hoping to start?
I hope to start in 2 weeks. I think the week of the 16th. That's when I plan on starting this.
Ticks and mosquitoes just spray up pretty good.
Yeah. I'll make sure to tell everyone to bring plenty of bug spray and everything.
sure.
Good.
Can you come back maybe sometime and give us an update on where you are on it?
Of course. If you'd like pictures of the project as well later on, I'll also give you that.
That'd be terrific.
Yeah.
Give it to Mike McHugh, our town administrator. He'll put it out there for the public. That's terrific, you know? Now, is this something that only school kids could use, or could the public use it as well?
I don't see why the public couldn't use it. I mean, it is meant for the cross-country team, but they only meet in the fall, so I mean, during winter, spring, and even the summer, if you want to go run the trail, that would be perfectly fine.
Perfect, yeah. Yeah, and I could understand during school time that they'd only want school kids out there, not the public per se, but that's a great idea. That's one of the things we could use in this town.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Caleb, how long is it in total length?
It's 3.2 miles,
Okay.
5 kilometers.
And I just checked with the town administrator, when you have all the approvals you need, and you get ready to do the project for fundraising, Mr. Chairman, we can say that on our announcements, that whatever you're doing for fundraising, maybe that'll help you out.
So let us know.
Probably a ton of people watching this at home.
So he's saying we can give you free advertising.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this is weird. So what would it, just one more last question. So the area, would it be like crushed stone, or what are you thinking of for like it's not gonna be paved, is it?
Leave it
No.
natural.
No, crushed stone, just a pathway.
The only thing I'm doing on stone or on the parking lot would be we're planning on painting the parking spaces different colors, like just blue,
Right.
just so like when we are having meets,
Yeah.
we could just put down a sign that says, please either move here, or don't park here today, because we will be having the meet and we don't want to damage your car.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's terrific. I think that's really good, I'm looking forward to it. I
Well,
think
of course, my mind is immediately going, is this like actual 5K, as in this could be used for potentially like fundraisers and stuff like that, like 5K races type of thing, like will it be marked out? I know they get pretty persnickety about having that 5K. It's gotta be,
yeah, we're gonna try to make it as that much as possible. I mean, my coach has already gone through it. He's already measured the whole area. It should be 5K. So, I mean, I don't know if you're able to because it's on the school property, but you might be able to. I mean, I don't see why not. But
okay. Well, I think it's fantastic. I love Eagle Scout projects. I have a special place in my heart for them. So I really commend you for, thinking of the greater good and coming up with a project that's going to benefit everybody at school. I make a motion that we approve this contingent upon conservation's approval.
Second the motion.
Absolutely. That'll bring us right into the 8 o'clock meeting that we have to go to. So wonderful job, Caleb. We'll look forward to further updates too. Thank you for your time on this. And we do appreciate the hard work that goes into this, Good luck on your Eagle Scout. I'm sure you'll get it without an issue, so.
thank you.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any further questions or discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. 5-0. Good luck, Caleb.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Do you have something you need me to sign, or do you need a letter?
Yes, please. I need you to sign one thing.
Okay, so we are at 8 o'clock, and I need to read this, as we have a hearing notice. It has to be read publicly. So the Board of Selectmen are holding a hearing on Tuesday, June 27th, 2017, at 8 PM in the Selectmen's Meeting Room at the Hanson Town Hall on the application of Deborah Scriven of Hanson, Mass. For an alteration of premise of Butterfields 2 LLC. Premises to be altered is located at 1486 Main Street, Hanson, Mass., and described as follows. It's a restaurant consisting of 2 dining rooms, separate bar, 2,500 square foot function room, 6 bathrooms, basement, storage, attic, and office with 2 rear emergency exits. Alteration to the premises includes a 33 by 20 foot front deck to be used as a waiting area and a 20 by 40 foot deck to be used for seasonal dining. Total seating will be 353 people. And I read this as, so if you look further into it, you'll see a letter on on June 1st that was sent to us, filing for this application. And so this hearing begins.
We need a motion to open it.
Oh, I apologize. Motion to open this hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0. Motion is now open. The meeting is now open. Okay, I noticed too that the Meadowbrook Restaurant would like to change its Sunday hours of which alcoholic beverages can be sold from noon to 12:45 to 10 a.m. to 12:45 p.m. And then, of course, we have the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission amendment application for the alteration of the premises. And I think you also gave us a visual of what that place is gonna look like, of what it would look like, the changes to it as well.
Right, there is a floor plan
We'll put it at the back
which
end.
shows the proposed deck.
Okay. All right, do we have parties here, interested parties here tonight? Did you want to come on up? Thank you for coming in today, appreciate this. Did you want to add anything or say anything to what's being,
Nope, this is more of a code.
of the area?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this, what's that? I'm sorry, would you introduce yourself for the public? I apologize.
That's okay. Deborah Skern.
Hi, Deborah.
Renee Conley.
Hi. So they've given us a image here of what the area will look like for the change. As you can see, I don't know, hopefully Carol got this. Carol, did you get this? You good? All right. So we've got the proposed deck and so it'll be covered over, the 40-foot area will be covered over, right? Oh, that's pretty cool. We'll pass it over.
So for the spatially challenged,
That's the front door.
speaking for myself, if you think about the way that restaurant is now, can you kind of walk us through? I think I see what you're doing, but can you kind of talk us through?
I can talk you through it.
Okay.
Would you say your name and just?
John Connolly,
John.
it's my wife, Lynn.
Thanks.
On the dining area is, the roofed-in area would extend out 20 feet from that. Will be the whole width of the dining room, but it will be to the right.
Okay.
And then the patio part and where the waiting room, it would be right in front of the dining area.
Okay. Okay.
That's the front door
Yes.
now?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Because the other section's over here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is all on the right-hand side, facing the building.
Right.
Okay.
This is the front door here.
I got you. Yeah, it's starting to kind of sink in. I'm just not great on these things, but yeah.
Well,
I see.
this is the floor plan.
Yeah,
The bar is in here.
Right.
This is where this is the dining room you eat in now. And the function room's over here.
So, I think that sounds terrific. We have to entertain questions from the public on this as well. So are there any abutters?
Yes.
Could you stand and say your name, please?
Michael Lewis, 1488 Main Street. We have 365 feet together. And right now, there is no buffer between us. So if you want to add this deck, what's going to stop the noise? As it is now, we already have car lights shining into our house all hours of the night. We had made arrangements, an agreement to have a fence put up. Instead of going stockade all the way up, I said if we went to where the parking lot turns, when you come in, it comes this way and they park right along there.
Okay.
From there up, stockade, split rail fence. Then from there back, a new stockade fence. Now that was 2 years ago that they put the split rail up.
I don't know.
I'm not
Yeah,
certain.
we can do it.
Just,
About.
okay, that's okay, yeah.
The original.
So is the stockade up or not?
No,
Okay.
it was.
Parts of it.
It was, parts of it is, part of it was a mess from the storm, so we took it down when they first moved in,
Yeah,
because we had a lot of trees, a lot of buffer.
okay,
11 of those trees are gone now, that they were cut down.
okay.
So now there is no buffer. You're looking at lights shining in every time somebody pulls in and out of there. So my only objection to any of this is they put the fence up.
And you're the house to the left, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
As you're going into the
As you're going
property.
into.
As you're going into the
Because
property,
you
we're
know it's
on
on
the
that
left.
side, I think, right? There's something, yeah.
So we have, it goes back 365 feet from the street to the corner market for us, them, and Sandow out back.
Is there any plans for a fence?
We've made plans, we haven't had the money to actually go through with it because of all the other things we have going on that are breaking and need to be fixed in the restaurant, but
It's been surveyed a couple times.
we can,
He surveyed it, we've surveyed it. It's different.
Yeah.
And then the house went up for sale 2 weeks ago, so, we close at 10, we don't hold late functions.
That every night you close at 10, right?
No, we
no,
close
the
at
kitchen
8,
closes at 9
8,
on weekdays and 10 on weekends.
so
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night is 10.
Is your latest, okay.
Is our latest, I mean, that's the latest we're there, there are lights there. Yes, the fence was, in disarray when we bought it.
Right.
People come and go all the time.
How much length are we talking about, John? Do we know, or Deb? Like it's
Like, as in-
200 feet or
Like, as in
length of the fence?
length of the fence, I'd say the parking lot, probably 40 feet.
40?
And that,
Yeah.
it's not back.
Okay.
From where the split rail stops
It's pretty long.
to the back, you're talking maybe
What, 200?
200 feet at the most.
Okay.
The fence that's
And there's
on
a
there
lot of trees there.
is on his property, I believe it is his fence, and that's what's on and has kind of
So
fallen
it's
into
kind of
disarray.
like
Okay.
when it was owned by Bob, the fence was put up with, it doesn't matter your property, my property, we were following the trees.
Right.
So I don't care if it's on my property or if it's on their property.
Yeah.
That's not an issue. The only issue is put the fence up.
Yeah.
That's all I care.
Did you say your house is up for sale?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's gonna be a problem.
So that could be a problem for the next owners.
Yeah.
Well, at the open house, we had 2 people comment that there was no buffer between the restaurant and the property. But if there's a buffer up there, then there wouldn't be an issue.
So you think they should put a fence up so you can sell your property, or you think you should put a fence
Oh,
up?
no, it has nothing to do with that. I
He's
mean,
saying
they've
this
been
is
promising me
pretty
they were gonna put the fence up since they got their original liquor license. And that was in 2011? Oh, yes. Wilbur, 2011,
I don't know, the last
we
time
sat
we
down with
were
your lawyer, Diane did at
That's-
that meeting, and he said that you would take care of putting the fence up.
Mike, if we could just,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
we could just keep,
Yeah,
You know,
just,
I don't wanna be confrontational.
No, no, you're
The
not.
only thing I
You're not.
want is a fence,
No,
so
no,
I
I
don't
hear
have
you.
lights in my face.
so guys, if I'm doing 200 feet, right? And we're talking 6-foot fence, has to be 6 foot by 8 foot high, excuse me, is that right?
6 by 6, it's like 40 bucks a piece.
Yeah, so you're talking, what, 200 divided by what, 8,
Yeah.
right? So you're talking 25 sections, times $40 each? You're talking about like
We getting
$1,000.
fence for $40.
$40 a section?
Hawkeye fences.
I used to buy that
$39.60
groceries.
a
They
section.
still have it for like 15, 16, 18 bucks you can get it at Home Depot for like,
You're putting that in yourself.
You need
Right,
chicken.
but
yeah.
Now you're talking about what it's gonna look like too.
yeah, but what,
That's
right, but I'm
right.
saying, but I was thinking maybe a compromise. Because I agree, I don't know if it's I don't know, you guys have to work it out, but you're right about what Kenny said, and if you're gonna, you can't put up a fence on somebody else's property, that becomes a problem, right? Because actually, it's their fence, if you think of it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well,
he
okay,
can't
there are
put it
now
in.
permanent markers that have been placed.
Yeah.
Civil engineer, Merrill Engineering from Hanover.
Yeah,
They come down and did a complete, from get-go, right from the Plymouth County markers.
yeah.
The original surveying that was done in 1953,
Mhm.
they were spot on. 3 out of the 4 iron posts they put in are still there. The only one missing is the one that comes the corner between me, them, and John Sandow. That's the only iron pipe that was missing.
So if we're talking, If we're talking like that type of fencing, right, so we're talking 25 sections, that doesn't include posts.
Right.
It doesn't include labor either, and a lot of
Labor,
other
right.
costs.
No, so,
And then she said there's trees that could possibly impede putting the fence in.
yeah,
There are trees that line that whole way,
there are.
still up.
Okay,
Right, and there were 11 or 12 more trees that were taken down, which had originally blocked a lot of it.
right.
Which were by the front of the road.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, I totally appreciate your perspective, I understand where you're coming from. You know, it is somewhat pertinent to what they're asking for, because I think what this guy's saying is, look, you know, he's already got an existing issue. I don't know that we are in a position to know what was agreed upon between the restaurant and this gentleman when they opened up, and we're not legal counsel, we're not here to get into that. But I do think that you know, you're now gonna have people outside on a deck, you know, and so if there were any issues, it might, you know, might get worse. On the other hand, I've gotta tell you that I'm in favor of anything that's gonna help a small business increase their business and, you know, bring more business into town. So we've got a little bit of a balancing act, I think.
What about,
I think Mr.
go ahead.
No, facing the building, all this new construction is on the opposite side of where the fence is, correct?
Yes.
It's not near his property.
Yeah.
It's
Or the
not
property
his
that's for
property at
sale.
all.
It's on the
It's
other
on
side
the
of the
property
building.
that's for sale, it's not even near that.
Oh, so
That's
it's on
what
the
I
other
mean.
side.
No, it's way on the other
It's
side.
way on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
opposite.
No, he's over here.
Gentleman's
and they're
land.
building over here.
But still, if you're gonna be open.
They're talking about the fence being over here, Jim.
Yeah, I understand. I thought it was the other way.
No.
I see what you're saying.
There's nothing involving this side of the building.
Okay. Well, Mike, they have the same amount of cars coming in and out, right? It was-
Well, isn't that expanding by 353 more seats?
Actually, that was my question. Are you saying the total capacity is 353, or you're gonna fit
Total
more?
capacity.
Another
That's total.
350?
capacity is 300.
Okay.
30 additional seats, correct?
Okay, all right.
In the application.
Right, so the whole building is at, the chances of us having 150 people in the function room and then it would never,
That's like
that would
mega,
never be,
yeah,
that
yeah,
would never happen.
But total 353,
Yes.
and you're
Right.
adding 30 new seats.
Right.
Okay.
No, I think the 353 includes it.
Is included.
Right, right.
That's included the
That's what I thought.
353.
Yeah, that wouldn't be our problem anyways. That would be their problem with
So the property and the fence would be on this
fire
side.
department.
And the building on this side.
Right.
Building, whatever.
Yep.
See, I would say, I'm sorry, you know, I would say, I don't think we have the authority to make them put up a fence, but, you know, however, when you guys are done with this project, you know, it would make, you know, to make good neighbors, it would make sense if you guys did put up a fence, you know? But I don't think that we here tonight have the authority to tell you guys to go ahead and put up a fence, in my opinion.
Well, the fact that it's on the other side too, Mike, doesn't,
Well, you know, when you talk about the other side, how wide is this parking lot? It's not big, so I mean, whatever you put out there, that noise, all that is going to travel right across that
I
driveway.
think even putting a fence up, you're still gonna hear
Right,
noise.
but I'm not gonna be seeing these people out there, I'm not gonna be having these lights going
Yeah.
on.
No, I understand both sides.
Can we, I mean, in all honesty, can we hear from Meadowbrook, are they willing to mitigate and put up a fence? I mean,
Well, I think John just said, right now, it's finances, because they're doing the building. Is that right?
That's right.
John, what about, let me offer a suggestion. What about, instead of a fence, right? What about like, I don't know, hemlock trees? I'll tell you right now, the hemlock
That's
trees,
what
they
was
grow,
cut down.
the hemlock trees grow like fast, a foot a year almost, if they planted
Yeah, they
well.
were about 40,
And they
50
create
feet high.
a great barrier for that. And they're not that expensive, there's no fence, there's no maintenance, if anything falls or breaks or whatever. It's just something to consider. Did somebody else,
We could consider, this is my father-in-law.
Mr. Chairman,
just say your name, quick, please.
Bill Dana,
Bill.
I'm the owner of the property,
I remember you applying for the, yes, okay, Bill.
yes,
okay?
Mr. Janet.
That the full building and everything is, special permit has already been granted by the Board of Appeals. What we're doing at the, people request is setting outside on the thing. I went through with the
Board of Appeals, and that has to be completed by 2018. And you have to realize that that building has been shut down for at least 8 years before we took it over. And it has put a lot of money into that house, into that building, primarily with a septic tank, which cost me $168,000. And also bringing the building up to code, electrical, and your heating and stuff. And it's very hard in the business to do that. And we try to do as much as we can afford it, okay? This will increase the potential of the customers, and I understand what this gentleman said about the fence. I understand that. I had that. But I had other things, electricals and everything else.
Put the money, yeah.
You had to put it back in. We can only do so much with it. And all I'm asking you tonight is to grant the electricals, the liquor, it can be served outside on the patio, okay? And I'll address that problem with the fence at some time when I can afford it.
I understand.
And
Well,
things
I'll tell you.
have to be done in sequence.
I had 18 years ago, pool put in, all right, in my property. I went through all the permits and everything that I did. Put a fence in legally like was supposed to, but I didn't want to see it. So I bought hemlock trees, guys, and I'll tell you, you should see how tall they are now. They're gotta be at least 30 feet high, and I planted them 5 feet apart from each other, right? And now you could just get they cost half the amount of the fence that we're talking about. We're talking like $500 now. And if you did, maybe 3 or 4 trees a year, it actually builds a huge hedge, and it'll give you the privacy that they want, that your customers want, that the people want for the property. They see the trees there. And it's half the expense than a fence. You know what I'm saying? At least half. And because you don't have to do the maintenance on it, all you gotta do is dig a hole and plant the tree and make sure you water it. Yeah, you could lose it if it dies, but, out of the 25 that I planted, I only lost 2, which was a good ratio, right? So my point is that there might be other alternatives that you guys could look into maybe afterwards. But the fact that it's on the other side, Mike, is what I'm having a hard time with. I mean, I know that they may have promised this to you before. I get what you're saying.
All right,
But
the deck is on this side, the front is right in the middle.
yeah. But your
They're
property's
redoing
on
part of the front, right?
what's that?
They're redoing part of the front?
Right.
That's
On the right
in
side.
the middle of this whole property.
No, it's
It's
not,
not-
it's not the front, Mike, it's over to the right, it's not, it's way over that side.
I have a question. When you purchased your house, was there a restaurant there?
Yes.
Okay,
Bob owned it.
that's a decision
there was
that
also-
you made when you purchased a house next to a restaurant.
When I bought the house, I put the fence up, the buffer was already existing, was hemlocks all the way the whole length of it.
Yeah. Did you see
Now,
that? Did you see
the
the?
hemlocks were cut down,
Okay,
which eliminated that buffer.
buffer, yeah.
Who will they cut down by?
But hold on, the proposed deck that they're talking about is actually inclusive with the lounge, so the lounge is sticking out. It's not exposed. In other words, that proposed front deck that you're thinking of, did you see this? It's not
I
going
don't know
to,
what you just, that piece of paper you held
because
up.
my point is that the lounge, the existing lounge now is actually gonna be, you're not gonna be able to see it from your property.
Right.
That new front lounge that you're thinking of. Because here, you wanna take a look at this?
No, Johnny's gonna give it to him, and take this one too.
Can I ask for clarification, Mike? Are we meeting about the liquor license tonight?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
because the ZBA has already, the footprint has already been approved. Okay, all right.
We gotta be good stewards and listen.
The board has to have some deference in terms of granting the liquor license.
If they're gonna have all these extra.
If it's going to have any impact
Just
on.
All night long.
It's gonna be
The only time They agreed to put the fence up,
Okay,
it's been
but-
6 years.
But here's, wait a minute, here's the problem, Mike, is that your concerns are duly noted. I appreciate it, they are. But this is not the right time and place here to deal with this.
Well, I brought it up at the zoning board meeting,
Oh, okay.
and they told me that was not the right place or time, because it was on the other side. Absolutely, they did.
Well, I don't think I.
Because I was there at the zoning board, and they told me that was not for this time, because it was on the other side.
Yeah, but this hearing is to allow them to have a liquor license.
license.
To go, it's already been approved for this, for the
Right,
areas.
you're extending the liquor license to go to the outside.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, now, if you're gonna have 30, 40, 50 people out there, the noise you're gonna have, there's gonna be noise.
So leave the
It's not gonna be 50, because we're gonna issue a license on 35.
35
30.
seats.
35
will the
seats,
deck
or
hold?
35 tables.
About 40, 35.
35, 40.
And again, till 10 PM.
So we close. Our restaurant closes, kitchen closes at 9.
And by the way,
Restaurant
that-
closes at what time now?
After everyone leaves, and everyone leaves after
So
the
the
kitchen
dining room
closes.
closes at 10.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just to answer a question I think you just brought up, and I had actually just had a sidebar with Laura about this. I do think that this conversation is appropriate because the Board of Selectmen needs to determine whether or not the increase to the footprint of this liquor license will have any impact on any abutters or
Abutter properties.
anyone who has any concerns. And that's up to the board to decide. So Mike's comments here, they're appropriate, but it's up to the board to make a decision as to whether or not it should reflect on what you're looking to do. So I guess my point being, this is an appropriate forum for this discussion.
I mean, and I understand, Mike, but again, the noise that you're talking about is an additional 35 to 40 seats. And that's on the side and on the front. And we're talking about, I think what you're really talking about is the traffic that's gonna be coming in and out of there. That's gonna be a concern as well, right?
I don't know, I mean, let's think about it, if,
You just said the
I'm
lights.
just trying to be fair about it. Yes, he knew he was next to a restaurant, Mr. Mitchell, that's for sure. But it seems like there was some mitigation between him and the restaurant when he initially bought the house. And now you're talking about people moving out to a deck and having conversations and, liquor, I mean, I definitely can see why Meadowbrook is moving in this direction. This is what people want, is that outdoor dining. This is gonna attract a lot of people. We certainly wanna help them, do business, but I understand what you're saying, sir. But I think really, we're here to figure out what's the equitable, and I guess maybe we've heard what this gentleman has got to say. Are there any other abutters that we should be,
Yes. Donna Frey.
well, I'm sorry, I'm not running. I was just asking the chair if.
No, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes,
What would you like to say,
Donna
Don?
Frey and myself and Susan live in Great Cedar, the new condominium.
The condos over
So you are on that side.
Yes, me too. Oh, Kathy, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, Kathy too. So we have 3 people from Great Cedar. So I too,
Could
I
you
really
say
enjoy
this-
the outdoor
Did
seating.
you say your last name?
Yes, Donna Frehill,
Frehill.
F-R-E-H-I-L-L.
Okay.
So I too like outdoor seating, I think that's a really great idea. I think my concerns are, of course, the noise level. Some of our homeowners have been saying, well, the fan's really loud and all that sort of stuff. And once it shuts down, it's a noticeable shutdown. And that's, we bought next to a restaurant, true. But once again, now you're adding an outdoor seating. And so I guess our concerns are how late people are going to be out there seated, and that noise level during weeknights and weekends. Because from that perspective, my concern is that, if you've got people out there till I think you wanted to extend it till 12 o'clock at night or something for the liquor license?
Our liquor
10
license is till 12:45, but
Okay.
we're never there.
No, you're not. So,
We're never there.
I know, I've been there.
They said
We
10.
let you leave at
I've
11.
been there when they've said, oh, fine.
No, but you go in a little earlier on
So-
Sunday morning, right? Like a little earlier.
They want to
on
go up
Sunday
at 10 in the morning,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
we want to do brunch, right?
Well, it had to do with brunch and
Yeah.
Wednesday, that's all.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess our concern, of course, is, what kind of noise level will be there? Will there be at least some controls over that? Hopefully there won't be any live music venues playing out there.
No.
So,
There'll be no live music
Yeah,
on
because
that
the
day.
music is
as well?
Yeah.
What?
Piped music?
Like recordings?
You don't tend to do, you don't do music in the dining room, do you?
We do
Not
a
the dining room, the
acoustic,
lounge we do.
small, in
It's
the
so
lounge,
light
we
that I
do. So there's
pay
no
attention to it.
fans out in
Yeah.
the dining room anyway.
But
You
you
only
don't
have
have
them in the-
music in the dining room or anything.
We just have music that comes through the.
Yeah.
That's a good
And
question.
then they have it on the other side, on his side in the hall.
In the
Okay.
function room.
You know, I mean, they're very good. They let our board meetings be in their hall without charging us, which I think is fantastic. They offer that as a community service. And I do support small businesses in our town. But I guess we just want to make sure that you understand that we do have concerns about noise level and the quiet enjoyment of our properties too. You know, and so we want to make sure that you intend to control that noise level too. You know, if somebody's getting raucous, I'd like to make sure that they're
Well,
not.
is there a
allowed to
buffer
continue.
between
Yes,
those
there's
two
all,
properties?
there's a huge
trees.
Trees
buffer.
behind, okay.
It's all wood.
Between the condos and
Yeah,
the
a little
residents.
bit.
Not as much
It's
as
just
you
a
would
tree, a
think.
line of
wispy
trees, it's
pines.
not all
Yeah.
line of trees.
I mean,
not-
we didn't take anything
Yeah.
down. What's there is what
No, what's there is what was
and
there.
what they took down when
Right.
they built the condos
Exactly.
was them. We
Yeah.
didn't,
Now,
we haven't
as-
touched anything.
No.
As far as the deck off the outside dining on the lounge, the dining room side, we could put plastic up and so that any sound would just
I was wondering about
bounce
that, or
off the plastic
trellises or
and come back.
something.
We could
Yeah.
do something like that, helping with the fence or as you said,
Trees,
the
yeah.
trees. I mean, we're up for anything, we're not trying to just do what we wanna do and then, forget about everybody else. But as in, Mr. Danner said, that there is an issue with money because there's always something that keeps coming up and there's always, I mean, we had to replace our walk-in with a freezer and it was $35,000. So there's always something that comes up, so we would absolutely be up to ideas of a fence or bushes.
Yeah.
And if we could do a clear plastic around the outside of it, to keep the noise in a little bit better, definitely up for that.
I
Well,
think,
we're not up for ruckus. We grew up in this town. I don't wanna be the Venus Street. I don't think we are. I don't think we have emotion. Yeah, I just don't wanna be, we're not that anyway.
I don't think anybody here thinks that.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't, there's not gonna be bands out there, there's not gonna be music, but I get the fan.
yeah.
Yeah.
The fan is like
Yeah, we've
another,
actually tried
The
to
fan is the
fix
nature
that.
of the beast, you know.
but it could be,
But,
corrected on something that.
I'm fortunate enough, I live up the end of the hill, you know,
It's a
but I
fan.
hear it.
So the
when I
building-
go down. I live on
Very,
the
very,
street, yeah.
very old.
okay.
In the
First
summer,
building.
outdoor dining, stop and think of it, we've had rain. If it runs from June, if you get 8 weeks or 9 weeks, I mean, that's it. It's not, it's just
Yeah,
something
very
we
soon,
wanted
it's
to
not-
offer our patrons, Hanson, whoever, instead of driving to the Cape. Maybe
Yeah.
they would drive to the Cape and say, hey, we can sit out here and it can be quiet.
Well, I'm all for outdoors.
You know what I mean?
Tell you, but,
That would be an
you know,
option.
I'm
And
not-
there's gonna be
have noise
someone,
control
it's gonna be
concerns.
encroached on that end of it, because who wants to eat with bugs?
So am I hearing this right, that you guys would look into maybe considering some bushes or something on Mike's side? And then maybe some, and I don't know about you guys, but they seem reasonable enough that if you had an issue with some noise or something like that, if you came to them and spoke to them, they might, I think that they would listen to you. Would you guys be okay with that, or?
I mean, I know they're saying they'd consider, but will they do it? Because honestly, I live down at the cul-de-sac.
Sure.
And we hear the fan when employees come outside, you can hear them, you can hear the radio in the car when they go outside. It travels, it's a very quiet little.
down in the
It's
hall.
almost like a,
It
it's almost like a
travels.
funnel effect.
So
because of it,
she's saying
because
it's, so for
it's-
but if we wanted like the peace and quiet, which is why we're,
Yeah.
living away in Hanson, if you had your windows open on your own deck, you would absolutely hear outside dining, you would hear that. It would impede on our peace and quiet. So I know what they're saying about money, but if you have the money to expand that, at that point, you have to consider, well, okay, but what is this to the neighbors? And you should have the money at that point to do it, in my opinion.
Well,
We can look into it and find out how much it will cost to add whatever soundproofing we can do, or
what you could try?
That would be much appreciated because.
All right, Donnie
it'll get so much louder.
Yeah.
Donnie has a question.
No, we entertain businesses to stay in Hanson because we charge the businesses in Hanson the same price that we residents pay.
That's right.
This restaurant has been there a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure that when they built the condos in there, you realized that there was a restaurant there. The same as you, when you bought your house, there was a restaurant there. I think between all the parties involved, I think you can work out some sort of solution without getting into any trouble. I'd like to see the restaurant put on the deck. It's only going to be used during the summertime. It's not going to be used during the winter. I don't believe it's going to be heated. And so, the summertime's the only time we can do things in New England. We can't do them in the wintertime. And I think between all parties involved, I think a compromise can become between the residents that live in the area. Because I'd hate to see the business leave, to be honest with you.
I agree, I agree.
So there has to be a
Yeah.
balance.
I agree with
I think
Yeah.
there has to be a balance, but that's a great point, Donnie, about the fact that it's not going to be year-round.
All right,
It's,
can I bring up one more point?
Sure, Mike.
If they're gonna be having a deck and a waiting area,
Yes.
as it is now, when they have people waiting outside, I've had them wander over into our property. I almost got, my dog was running around in my property, I control him, and this little 2-year-old come wandering into the yard while all the parents were standing around the car, and my dog almost knocked her over. And that's not the first time we've had people wander across, play in the yard while they're waiting.
Well, if we put the thorny bushes up there, maybe they won't go through it, but yeah, I
Well,
understand.
mean, you
your
could
point.
always plant those invasive things that grow all over the place.
Right.
Like this started down the back and now 3/4 of the way around the property.
But one of the security measures that I was taking on security classes, they put these thorny bushes in those areas on purpose. You know, the purple ones, the thorns, so that they
Yeah.
can't walk through there. Because I don't think it would be fair to say that that's their fault, but I understand your point.
Right,
I do.
I'm saying, it's, these people walk over,
Yeah.
and if something happens to them on my property, I'm the one that's liable.
Right.
Can,
Right,
That fence is on your property now.
And it was half and half. Part of it's on mine, part of it was on theirs. That's when I put it up back in '97, when we bought the place. And we put it up as far as the tree line, where all the trees were one on top of the other. And once they were cut down, we had made arrangements. I said, okay, put the split rail up. We only have to go to where the parking lot turns for a 6-foot stockade. Originally, I was gonna go all the way up to the end, so nobody could even see the place when they come by. Which, I said, no, we'll just put up a split rail.
Okay, so I think we
Mr.
got,
Chairman, just-
well, wait a minute, I think Jim Hickey
yeah,
didn't get a chance to speak.
I'd like to, I've been sitting here and basically I've been keeping my mouth shut the whole time. And I've been trying to think, and we've touched on it a little bit. My question for these three ladies here, you guys live in the condos. Was the restaurant there before the condos were built?
Right, and we were aware of that.
Okay.
It was there with
So-
closed walls though.
Yeah, it's-
But, so my thinking is with this, is that whoever the developer was that built those condos should have made a better buffer between the restaurant and the condos.
Yes.
Mike, it was your fence that fell down.
Yep.
And the owner of your house before, or whether, did you put the fence up, or
I put the fence up.
you put the fence up, so you lived in the house long enough for the fence to be up and fall down?
Right.
Which is not their fault.
No.
And I think as a board, we're trying to get a happy medium
But I
here.
think you're right.
But you bought the house, the restaurant was there, you moved to the condos.
But the outdoor seating wasn't there.
Right.
Right,
so,
and
you
I
know,
get that, so
and
that's where
that's
the
a
problem
new
is.
development.
But you already know that the noise was there anyway.
Well, we don't hear the noise of the patrons inside of the
Right.
restaurant.
Right.
But once you move that outside.
Then we will.
We will
So when one
hear.
employee comes out to listen to their radio, you can hear that.
Well, I'm saying, yeah,
Somebody
because
comes out,
it's,
smoke or whatever,
where we are,
or
you
smoke,
can,
band in there playing, and that goes because you're down in the hollow.
You're gonna have a band in
All
there?
right, I'd like to, okay, I think,
I'd like to agree
I
with
think in
Mr.
all
Tyler.
honesty, I think these folks have indicated to me that they're gonna go out of their way to try to put up a sound barrier on your side and possible bushes or trees on your side, you know, maybe not in the immediate future, but sometime to help. Now, I do see them, in my opinion, that means that they're at least coming halfway, they're trying, right?
They're coming more than halfway, Jim. I mean,
They're
they
going
bought a building, like Mr. Dana said, that had been, vacant
Yep.
for a while.
Yep.
They've resuscitated it, brought jobs back. They're huge community partners.
Yeah.
They put a lot of money into that building.
And-
I think that they've indicated that they're willing to be good neighbors.
Right.
And, we do appreciate the feedback. And you're right, it is a little bit of a game changer because it's now outside and that isn't you didn't know that when you bought it, but you did know that there was a restaurant there, and I'm hearing from these guys that they're willing to be cooperative.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not shutting you
Well,
guys
actually,
down.
when we bought
That's the good thing, right?
restaurant was
You
there,
want that type of relationship
but
with
then
them.
it was shut
And as I
down
said,
for
they've been
years.
good neighbors. They,
And then
they allow us to use the
They
function
bought it at an
room.
auction
So
or whatever
that's
they did
terrific.
on the.
You know.
I'm just wondering if they will do it or just considering it, though, that's just two
And-
different,
We don't have the authority to force them to do it.
No.
right, so.
Yeah,
But in good faith, sitting in front of us, I'm comfortable that they're gonna do the right thing.
You're gonna have
We're not
to,
I think if you just
We're
keep
not here
things
just-
under control is really.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
fun,
That
yeah.
we know that, things won't get out of control.
Just be conscious
They'll
of
adapt.
these neighbors, of their concerns. And
And, I mean, if there is a problem, you guys know where we are, you can come
Yeah.
over and
Well, great.
Wow.
Someone that walks their dog right through our property, goes to the bathroom, comes back, I mean,
Yeah.
we're.
Yeah,
we're-
yeah,
go down
They
things
better
so
be
you guys
busting
can
their
walk
dogs.
back and through.
Yeah, I have your two dogs. My kitchen room door.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion
Yeah,
to,
yes, the two little ones. And my 15-year-old is special needs, and he just.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Meadowbrook Restaurant's liquor license,
To approve the alteration of premises.
to approve the alteration of premises.
sorry.
There you go.
Second.
Operational premises.
They can do it.
And are we also doing the hours of alcoholic
And to approve
beverages?
the Sunday,
And to change the Sunday hours from noontime to 12:45 to 10 a.m. to 12:45.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. So, just last comment, okay? So, guys, they've opened the door, they've got their door open for you guys to come talk with them. And I think that's more than enough. I really do. So hopefully we'll work this all out, all right? And good luck with the business, I might be down there drinking a 10 a.m. shop on Sunday myself. Keep one for me, please.
This is live, right?
No boisterousness from
He
you.
normally
No,
doesn't.
I won't be loud.
He normally doesn't drink till
I'll hide on the
12,
other
folks.
side, right?
No, they can't.
I know.
All
And thank you guys for coming out and bringing your concerns to us.
Thank you for listening to our concerns.
Well, I mean, I'm not asking for much.
I'd like to make a motion to exit the
no,
hearing.
do we vote?
We have
No, we did not.
No, you have to
No,
vote.
not vote.
Thank you.
Talk to
I have.
John.
We'll do a
I
roll
think
call.
he'll
Yeah,
get
just to be on the
that.
safe side, why don't you do a roll call
Okay,
vote?
we got a
You
call,
can do a
roll
roll
call
call
vote on this
vote,
hearing. Donnie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, 5-0 in favor of those changes.
I'd like to make a motion to exit the hearing,
Close the hearing.
close the hearing.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to close this hearing. All
We
those
can
in
do a roll.
favor?
Aye.
Do we have to do roll call vote? or
Yeah,
no?
do a roll call.
Roll
Okay.
call vote just in case. Yes, Donnie?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, Laura?
I'm in
Yes,
favor.
Jim?
Yes.
Thank you all for coming in tonight, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, good luck.
It was funny, the lady's like, come on over there all the time. I get great food.
I tell you, the trees are a good option. They're half the price of a fence, so.
Do you own stock in Hemlock?
I wish I did. You can buy them in the fall for half price. Buy them in fall for that price off West Wyman, down in Hanson, All right, where are we going, Mr. Denner? You all set?
I'll help you with Laplante School if you need help.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's good at it.
I appreciate it.
Mr.
Thank
Denner,
you.
thanks for coming in
Thank
today.
you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much, guys.
Take care.
Okay, we are at the, I need to read item 9, I believe, which is the resignation of Laura
Laura
Fitzgerald
left us.
Kemet. She is registering, I'd like to read it, is with regret that I tender my resignation from the, guys,
Outside, please.
could we
Folks, gotta move it outside.
take it outside if you get a chance, please? All right?
Let's jump the tracks, Jim.
I hope things go well.
They'll be fine.
Okay.
Reading from this is, it is with regret that I tender my resignation from the Hanson Community Preservation Committee, CPC, effective June 28th. Unfortunately, as a newly elected selectman, I'm no longer eligible to be a member of the CPC as the charter does not permit a selectman on the committee. I was part of the group that brought the Community Preservation Act to Hanson and proudly served on the CPC since its formation. I am proud of the work that we have done on the committee and the many positive contributions that we have made to the town. I have thoroughly enjoyed working with all the extremely dedicated and talented members of the committee, and will miss serving them on this committee. I wish them all continued success and will continue to support them in any way I can. Ms. Laura Fitzgerald Kemet. Laura, thank you. So I would entertain a motion to accept with regret Laura's resignation from CPC.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Wonderful.
I'm sorry.
We're moving right along here.
Well, you said I was sleeping, Dawn, so.
Laura, I think they're gonna miss you. I know that. And we're lucky to get you. All
Yeah,
right.
like, who's gonna take over, Laura? Like, that's gonna be a problem
Tom
over there.
Hickey.
Tom
Oh,
Hickey.
really?
He's stepping up, and I feel very, very good about
Oh,
it.
awesome.
Yeah,
He's got the
gonna do
Yeah,
right
Tom's a great guy.
Right last name, is he related?
Somehow
to
I
you?
think you'll be back at some
No?
of those meetings.
All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye, with regret. Next item, item 10, we have, these are the annual reappointments, and it says see attached. There are yellow highlighted items, and we need to either, I think on the highlighted items with names, we could motion to keep those names on there unless somebody else wants that position. And on the blank ones, we should look at to fill. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I'll go first. I'll take, I want to stay on the Highway Building Committee, and I'd also, I'm gonna put Laura on the spot. Would you go on the Highway Building Committee?
I thought we
Laura?
voted that, didn't we?
No, I voted to 200th.
The 200th anniversary?
Yeah, and by the
'Cause
way,
we have
last
another
week,
spot.
last week's Hanson Express had you quoting as saying I had too much energy, and then
You did have
something,
a lot.
I don't know what the quote was, but it wasn't
I saw
very
that.
flattering.
We'll talk to them after the meeting.
Yeah.
But I didn't think that was the real quote, but I have to be honest with you, I have thought about the highway committee, and I've mentioned here that I'd like more work done on the highway, but I also really love the idea of the economic development committee, and I don't want to spread myself too thin, but you're on the economic development committee, so I don't want to say,
But we
hey,
have an extra seat.
oh, you've got an extra seat.
No, we only have one selectman representative.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
need citizens at large.
Well, I'll tell you what, Laura, because that one works close to the business network, it would make sense to put you on that one, and I can take a different one if it does.
Okay, so Kenny, I definitely would love to be involved with that, and I've got stuff I want you guys to work on, but I just think that, I shouldn't overcommit. And I think Highway 200th anniversary and McQuon transition may be sufficient,
I mean, I'm hoping the highway's only gonna be another year. Hoping,
I think so too.
or less, but,
Because the original composition, if I recall, and I didn't look this up because I was doing the other committees, that we were supposed to have somebody from the finance committee.
Yes.
And then we couldn't get anybody from the finance committee on that, so we ended up having 2 selectmen on there.
okay.
But you really, honestly, for this phase, guys, you really do need somebody from FinCom.
And maybe
because
it's a different group, we might be
it
able
is
to
a
get
different
somebody.
group. I think people were a little disenfranchised, early on. But I think that for this phase where you're going to be looking at the cost for tearing down and
It's not
cleaning
gonna hurt
up.
to try.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what I'll do is, I'll make an motion to remove myself from the economic target area and place you on it. But let's do these one at a time, because
Yes,
Mr. McHugh said that we need to vote each one. So we have the Central Plymouth County Water District, Mr. Don Howard. His
Yes.
term ends June 30th, 2018, 1 year. Are we looking to reappoint him? Johnny, you still want that position?
Yes.
So moved.
So,
Second.
Made and seconded, nobody else wishes
Do we
it?
have to motion everyone individual?
Do we have to, Mike?
I have,
I thought we said yes. It's not
Last
that
year
many.
we didn't.
It-
No, but you
So-
still have all the other ones we have to appoint, though, in between the lines, not just the yellow. The yellow's just us.
Well, but the yellows, shouldn't we specifically make motions on those, and then couldn't we do blankets
Blanket
to
the other
just-
ones.
We can
That's
go
what
through and say the committees we want to appoint or not appoint, because some of the committees that are on this list are some of the committees we talked about maybe merging, so we may have to
Right.
pull some
Yeah.
of them out. But
Okay.
if, what we should do is go through, Dawn wants to be on Central Plymouth Water District, we'll go
Yeah.
down to the next one, Drainage. Dawn, do you want to be on that?
Yeah.
Just all the ones that are highlighted.
And then
we
go and
figure
vote it
out, And then
afterwards?
vote it
Yeah.
as one
Gotcha,
block,
gotcha.
is that
Okay.
okay?
Yep, yep, yep.
Unless,
Somebody-
anyone has any hesitations or has, almost like a pass, if we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
at town meeting for the budget.
Okay.
Yep.
So if any member wishes to discuss, that would be my suggestion. If any member wishes to discuss any particular board, I would,
Put that in
I'd ask,
there?
yeah, well, I'd ask that particular
Well,
member.
I'll tell you what, I'll do the blank ones too. So we've got the Drainage Committee Planning Rep. So that's somebody from the planning board.
Yeah, we
is
need
that
somebody
right?
from planning board, so.
So Mike will extend that
Yeah.
out there,
I'll
right?
do the next one, the emergency
Wait, did we move
communication
on,
center.
Dawn,
Let me
for
do
drainage?
something.
He said
You gotta
yes.
stick me with the
Yeah, but
crap
we
down the
didn't-
bottom.
No, so
she's
what
gonna do the micro.
I suggested, go through all the highlighted ones, everybody pick
Okay.
what they want, and then when we're done, we'll vote the selectmen's appointments to the committees.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Misunderstood.
Only because,
Yeah, so. All right,
you want
take
to,
it.
listen, we definitely won't be fighting over committees, I can
All
tell
right,
you that.
okay, all right. Well, Mary, on the,
Because I'll reach out to them.
on the,
I'll send them a memo,
okay.
yeah.
on the economic target area, I would,
See, I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt. The economic target area.
Yeah.
That's actually a town administrator's appointment. It's not a selectman's appointment. I just put it on there so we know that Mike is now gonna be in charge.
The guy in
because
charge.
It's consists of a selectman, I think you already went through that.
we did
The
it.
town administrator, planning, did I say?
So how do I take myself off and put Laura on? Do I do it through Mike?
Yeah, we can just say that,
Can we do that, Mike?
Yeah, and I'll just, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Okay,
If
thank
we're
you.
just doing the switcheroo, yeah, I got it.
And then Kenny wants the Emergency Command Center Ops Selectman Rep.
That's a communications center. They deal with the dispatchers.
That's what Bill was. I think Bill did it last time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kenny, you want that one?
Yeah, I'll take
All
that.
right, Kenny's got that one. Then Don Howard, you're on the Energy Committee. You good with
Yeah,
this?
yeah.
All right. And we also have Don Howard on the final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee.
Yep,
That's good. Kenny, you staying on the Highway Building Committee?
Yes,
Laura, did you want the Highway Building Committee Selectman Rep?
I mean,
yes.
Well, again, this is the one
The
that
accountant.
originally was supposed to be somebody from finance.
we're gonna see if we could get FinCom.
All right, okay, so,
And if we can't get FinCom, then we'll revisit that.
Yeah.
all right, gotcha. That's great. Jim Hickey, you're on the School Repair Committee still?
Yeah,
You're good for that?
sure.
The vacant position on the Thomas Mill Committee, we're thinking of merging, so we're gonna hold off on that one, right? Oldham Pond Committee is Don Howard.
yeah, I'm still there
All right, James.
when they call me.
James McGann for the Open Space Committee, I'll take that one still. Plymouth County Advisory Board and the Advisory Board alternate.
Yep,
Donnie, you're the main guy and I'm the alternate, right?
yep,
All right, cool. Next we have is the Street Safety Private Way Oversight Committee.
Which had been Bill Scott.
I'll take
what about
that.
Old
Again-
Colony
There
Planning
you go.
Council?
Jim, you gotta take something.
I'll take the
I'm on the
private,
school repair
Jim,
committee.
which Jim? Jim Hickey or Jim
Oh,
McGann?
Jim,
Jim
you're
McGann.
fine.
Oh, we missed you. Sorry, didn't highlight that one, Dawn,
I
sorry.
got two. Jim's got one.
That's a different one.
Yeah, you're good with that safety private way.
I'll take the
Yeah, I don't even see
Street
that.
Safety Private Way
Find something
Oversight.
else for Jim
Too
Hickey.
many committees.
Now, I don't know if that may be one of those committees that you might want to discuss, because it wasn't in my
Merge.
list. I started working on that, but I was giving Laura a little history lesson on it. I went back to the minutes back to 1998.
Okay.
When they created a street safety, they used to have a street light committee and a street acceptance committee.
Okay.
And I didn't go back that far to find out where they started from.
I'll-
Then they had a street safety development committee. And then we also created a roller coaster road committee several years ago when they redid the intersection of Roller Coaster Road and Crescent Street.
Okay.
After that was straightened out, they decided we should continue on with some work on private roads, so they created the Private Way Oversight Committee. The committees didn't really meet too much, and so back in 2014, we changed it from Street Safety and Development Committee to the Street Safety and Private Way Oversight Committee.
So we might want
It
to
has
do
quite a
something-
history, so if, we want to
How
keep
can
that
you
committee
remember all
going.
this?
Because honestly,
Wow.
I've lived it.
Just in case you thought that we had redundant committees, did you just
Yeah.
catch all of those?
Yeah, so we may have to merge this one. It looks like it's
Well,
got
I
a
mean,
good group.
it's pretty much there. I think it covers everything that they don't meet that often. Is it something that we really need to
Is it
keep
necessary to
going?
even
Is it a
have it?
necessary
Who's the
committee?
chairman, do we know?
I do not know. I don't think they met at all for the
too.
last couple of years. We keep reappointing them. As you can see, we've got Bob Brown,
Yeah.
Mike Mix on there, and it had been a selectman.
I
I think it
think
was
if-
originally supposed to have a planning board member on there, which, Tony Sacco may have been at one time, and they
Yeah.
just stayed on.
Okay.
So, if you want to reappoint that, we can, or if you want to hold off and,
I think
Why
we
don't we
should
hold off
hold
on
off
merge?
and talk about just
Merging that one?
barring that
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. Okay, we'll hold off on that one.
What
So,
about the Old Colony Planning Committee? that I'm
Old
on? You haven't got that on.
I didn't highlight was that, which
No,
one? I did
no.
the Metro Planning Committee for Dawn.
Yeah, Donnie,
Well,
it's-
that's another
different
one.
one.
that's a
I
different
don't
one.
make that one all the time, because Bob Overhauser still does that.
Is he stepped down, or is he not? I thought he stepped down.
Well,
That's your
at
job.
the piece
No, he
of
still-
paper I
he still
got the
does
other
that.
day, he still
Okay.
went to the meeting,
Okay, good.
because he was present.
So why didn't we add the old planning council?
I probably just missed it as I was going through the appointments. I mean,
So we'll keep you on that one.
That's the
Donnie.
one that I got the tip on
Right.
Quan Street on.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll keep you on that one, is that all right, Donnie? Will
Yeah.
that be okay? All right. So what are we looking for, a motion?
To reappoint all these appointments, right?
Yes, to
Second.
sign
reappoint the selectmen appointments.
Okay.
Discussed, okay.
as discussed. Motion's been made and seconded.
It was, who moved it? I'm sorry.
Don Howard moved it.
Don Howell moved it.
Okay, well, I can't second it too.
Kenny, did you second it?
I seconded it, yes.
There you go. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0, so that puts the selectmen reps on these ones. And what do we want to vote, all the other ones, Mary? Are we voting all the ones that are not highlighted? Or
We need
those-
to, if you want to go through and decide which one of the committees you actually want to pull. We could go through it quickly. There were some of the ones, like Laura had mentioned, the bylaw committee. I probably have one person on that. Sorry, I'm just doing the minutes right this second. Let me go back to my
Yeah,
spreadsheet.
because it's not on here, right, is
No.
it?
The by,
I thought you said on the other chart that there was 5 openings for 5 positions. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no,
Right, so it's
the
not on
bylaw
there.
had 3, you're right, though, Laura. It was all
Yeah.
open. There was no,
Yeah.
nobody assigned to that.
That's not a committee that was created at town meeting, right?
the bylaw committee?
Yeah.
The bylaw committee, that one I'll have to go back and research. That one's been around for a real long
That's
time.
item 6A on your iPads, all
Yeah.
right, guys?
Okay, so it's not here for appointments anyway, so we can
I
decide
thought,
that later.
but Mike's, yeah, because Mike's gonna look at those, right, Mike?
Yes.
Tracy, did you turn off the air conditioner? Because it's feeling kind of hot. Don't be messing
We're
around.
getting a greenhouse effect
All
here.
right, okay.
And
So,
that's it, that's Dawn.
we have, on the Area Agency of Aging Advisory Committee, Jane Baker.
Yeah?
She was on this list after, I had already posted it, but we got a letter of resignation from her, so she won't be doing that. She's gonna, is she moving?
She's
Is that what she
moving out of
said?
town, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that one. We will have to find someone else to do that. I'm sure Mary will be able to find somebody to cover for Jane, but she's been a great asset to the senior center.
So I think what we're trying to do here is trying to figure out what items on this reappointment list and on the other list to merge, and Mike
Or
will
we
reach
should at
out
least
to-
not reappoint tonight.
Right.
The Cable TV Committee, we haven't
Oh,
had
yeah.
any activity on that.
Yikes.
Culture Council.
Yep, so that one, and then the street safety private way one, we shouldn't vote anybody on that.
And the Drainage Committee. Don, how many times have you had
we haven't, I discussed it a long time ago. Bob only gets enough money to do the repair during the summer, and he never has any money to do any major drainage work anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we need a drainage committee.
so we want to hold that one for possible consolidation?
Yeah,
Disbanding.
yep.
I'll
Do you have to
check it.
consolidate them, or can you just,
Well, I have to find out. If it's voted, if it's created by town meeting, we can't just
Right,
disband a
okay.
committee. If it's something the selectmen
so
put
I would put
together.
drainage committee under the bylaw and the other one to check.
So, I mean, in my mind, there's 2 questions to ask. One is it required because it's something we passed at town meeting? And then the second question is, if we do away with it, or some other statute, I should say, if we do away with it, who would make the decision if a drainage issue comes up or a light issue comes up? So those, it's like a 1-2 question.
Drainage would be between water and the highway department.
Somebody set off the door.
Somebody went
Oh,
out
someone
the,
out the back door?
Is that the fire?
Is all you have to do?
No, it's a door, so we.
No, it's
we
an
don't
alarm
shut it.
door.
I think it's just a matter of shutting it tight. Oh, yeah, now
Well,
everybody
one-
leaves.
I'll go out,
Mike's got it.
I'll go out and help them.
That's one way to clear the
On the
room.
other way.
Okay.
I don't think anybody's out there, Mike, so you should be good.
Yeah, they all just ran.
That did seem to clear the hallway.
I
So-
think it's just a matter of shutting the door tight.
Yeah. Okay, so,
So which committees are we gonna kind of,
She's gonna have to look at
I
them all
think you
to
ought to
see
keep
what
the
was
drainage
created at
committee,
town meeting.
because
Are we
there are
coming back to
times
this?
during the year.
No, we can do these appointments. What we'll go through right now is, right now, we've got the Area Aging, Agency of
Yep.
Aging Advisory Committee. We won't appoint because
Jane
Jane's
Baker,
leaving.
right.
Cable TV will hold.
Okay.
Drainage Committee will hold.
Right. Economic target area we're changing,
Well,
right?
yeah, we'll add Laura
to
to
that
that, but
board.
that's Mike's committee, that's not a committee that we would reappoint.
Right.
Okay.
So I'll review your application, Laura, when I
Yeah.
get it.
Okay, please get back to me. Let me know if I
The
made cut.
insurance committee, I haven't had a complement of committee members on that for a while, so we could hold that. That may have changed considerably now that that committee was in existence before I got here.
Now, the energy, I know you were, where were you just
She
now?
skipped down to page, the one.
Right, but the Energy Committee, we've got several openings. We've missed the Green Community Grant because we didn't have our act together. We're about 3/4 of the way through doing what we need to do to get to be a green community, which opens up grant opportunities for us. So I'd very much like, I think that may be one of the committees you told people in your announcement that we've got openings, but
Right.
we really want to pump up the volume on getting some people.
Yeah, so what we want to do is keep the people we have on there by
Yes.
reappointing them.
Yes.
And I think, when Laura and I spoke earlier today, we need a ZBA member and a planning board member? Is that what I said?
On the Energy Committee.
On the Energy Committee. And then another citizen at large.
Okay. And that ties back to the previous list that you said.
Yes.
Right,
vacancies.
correct. And then I think. did I-
Bob Overhauser and I, we went up out west at a meeting, because we tried to put solar panels on the fire station and police station, but we couldn't get any results, and by the time we got through, time passed before we could put them on, because we were told some of the buildings weren't structurally sound to hold them.
Really?
Okay, so.
Then I saw somebody else, and they were, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on who you see when.
Well,
So according to what I just went through, area aging, cable TV,
Yeah.
drainage,
Energy,
no, energy we're gonna leave in there.
keep in there.
Insurance committee
Right.
and the street safety committee.
Right.
We will hold, and everyone else, if the board's wishes, we can reappoint as
Reappoint
printed.
as listed in the agenda.
So how's this motion gonna read,
Yeah,
Mary?
wait, what
She's
about
already done this.
Nathaniel Mill?
What,
Nathaniel Mill?
Nathaniel Mill was
Thomas Mill.
created by town meeting.
Right.
So we can't dissolve that without a vote of town meeting.
Okay.
There's a vacant position on it.
Well, there's several.
There's
right?
several, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to look at something, Mike, on what to do for that.
Yeah,
Well,
and
we-
that's one we can talk about, consolidating
What do you
perhaps.
think?
Do you want to
But-
at least, do you want to at least to reappoint?
Conservation of conservation, but on the other hand, there's all the rental stuff, so it's like, well, who's gonna handle that?
Sylvia Salas has been handling that. Everybody
Yeah.
calls her, she brings in a turnover every couple of weeks or a month, once a month, and does a turnover. It's not a lot of.
But it's getting to the point where it needs, like a new water wheel, the
Mm-hmm.
roof is, I only know these things because Alan Clemens has mentioned them to me,
Mm-hmm.
but, it's getting to a point where it's gonna need to have some issues addressed on it, and we don't have the skill, we don't have anybody really, other than poor Sylvia, which I don't think we need to put upon her, everything having to do with Thomasville. So,
It is under the care and custody of conservation.
it is, but I think, it's an odd thing, because I think they accepted that because it's the property, not so much the building, which would be a weird thing for conservation to be in charge of, so that's why I want to discuss it further at a different meeting.
Well,
So-
there's-
I would
We can't do
reappoint,
anything with it, because that's something that was set up at town meeting.
Right.
But I would suggest the board reappoint her to that.
Sylvia Salas.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And we can always make these adjustments
Yep.
moving forward.
What else, Mary, was that it?
I think that was it.
Did you make the motion? Do you know the motion that you made? You said with exception to those departments that you read.
Vote to reappoint.
Vote to reappoint all others as printed
As
in the
printed, yep.
agenda.
2018 reappointments?
So moved, yeah.
For the
Second.
selectmen.
Motion.
Second.
No, you already did that.
Oh, no, we already did the select.
This is the.
This is
the
the
whole
other
shoot
names,
match
Jim.
All
now.
right,
is
then
the
I
other-
have,
The ones that are not highlighted.
okay. Then I just have one
Jim, go ahead.
problem with just one of the
Committees?
committees, and that would be the Recreation Commission. Anne Marie Buzan, for a 3-year term. My problem with that is Anne Marie is a town employee, union employee, and she is the chairperson of the Recreation Commission, who is in charge of another union employee. This board, 2 weeks ago, put Teresa on that board. So now you have 2 union members, you have a shop steward in charge of a union employee up there.
And the union employee is the assistant?
Is the administrative assistant, yes. And I myself have been a union member for 29 years. And even though this is a different situation because we're a municipality, I just don't think it's a good idea to have 2 union employees be basically the boss over another union employee. And especially where she's the shop steward. She handles all union problems that employees would have with the employer. Whether it's the commission itself, even though they're volunteers, they're still the employer, or any other member.
I personally don't see any problem with it, Jim. I know what you're saying. But we have a bylaw on selectmen who can't, if you're an employee for the town, you can't be a selectman, obviously you have to give up the
Right.
job. But we don't have a formal rule or bylaw or anything of that nature for union members overseeing other union members,
Right,
right?
and I did do some research on it, and I knew the way the vote was going to go, but I just had to get it out there so that, just in case a possible situation arises.
So your contention would be that since Anne Marie Bouzon is a union member and she is the steward,
Yeah,
if there's a problem with the administrative assistant, she has to represent that administrative assistant and is also on the board, serving on
Right.
that committee.
and she could step down from that position if there is a problem with that employee.
Right.
But then she would be questioned as a recreation member, knowing what she would know, and that would put her into a possible conflict of interest.
But the personnel manager for that situation would always be the town administrator, is that correct?
Yeah.
Right, and I think that's the way I kind of look at it. I totally hear what you're saying, I really do. Because, it could be a conflict
Yeah.
of interest, even if somebody's got the best of intentions.
Absolutely.
I do understand what you're saying. The way I look at it is, Mike is the personnel manager, and it's how many members are on that board, on that commission?
7.
Okay, so she's one person.
There's-
Well, yeah, I know,
Two union members.
okay, but that would be like collusion and,
Well,
yeah.
this board voted Teresa in last week.
Right.
3
Well-
members of this board voted Anne Marie.
But Teresa stepped down from her role.
Right, Anne Marie has not.
Well,
Right.
But Jim's saying Teresa's still a union
And
employee.
she's
She
still a
just
union
stepped down from
employee.
being, yeah.
Right, but she's not going to,
So we should vote on everything except for recreation, do recreation separate.
okay?
All right, I see what you're saying.
know,
So
rather
that
than
Jim's,
bundle
so
it up,
that
'cause
Jim's vote
Jim's
can
not
be
in favor
reflected
of-
on that, yeah,
Of,
okay.
of Anne Marie, so we should vote on everything else and do a
Alright.
separate vote for the recreation.
I
So
think
Mary,
that-
we're gonna pull out of that pull out Recreation Commission as well? Out of the motion? So do you need us to re-amend the motion? Or can you just amend it with it?
So what I will do is put it in, motion by Laura, second by Kenny, to reappoint all committees as presented with the exception of recreation.
Perfect.
Right.
And the noted committees, and I'll list what the committees
Yeah.
were that we've already pulled up.
Yeah.
Right. And then
So then we'll vote on that, then we'll move on
we'll
recreation.
move on right
Separate.
after.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, is everybody happy with that motion?
Absolutely.
All right, let's call it to vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. 5-0. Next, I would entertain a motion to appoint for the Recreation Commission Anne Marie Bouzon for a term of June 30, 2020, 3 years. Recreation Commission Diane Cohen for June 30th, 2020, 3 years.
Do you want to do them separate, Jim?
No,
We'll do them
Diane was
separately?
not.
Okay, so I think,
So what you want to do is separate Anne Marie and then Diane, or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I would entertain a motion to appoint to Recreation Commission Anne Marie Bouzon to a term of June 30th, 2020. I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
Has it been seconded?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded.
to appoint, this is to appoint Anne Marie.
Anne Marie.
Jim,
Oh,
okay, yeah.
no,
No, you don't want to
I
second
screwed that up.
You did,
Okay.
so we're watching you.
Thanks.
Okay.
We thought
So we
you
need a
were-
second.
you were flipping that, so
Yeah, I slowed that up. I was still thinking Diane Cohen.
Well, you're easy.
I was still thinking Diane Cohen, sorry.
So do we have a second to the motion?
I second.
Motion has been made and seconded by Laura Kemet. Further discussion? I think we've aired out our concerns on that.
Yes.
Let's call to vote. All those in favor of appointing Emery Buzan to that position, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those against, say nay.
Aye.
One, I think it's 4-1. You voted aye, right, Kent? So it's 4-1. Next, we have Diane Cohen to the Recreation Commission for a term of June 30th, 2020, 3 years.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
I wanted to get it right this
Let's
time.
call it to favor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. There you go, you got it right.
5-0. I do want to state for the record, I had issues, or I had concerns, Jim, originally of only allowing Anne Marie to serve up until this time. But I have changed my mind on it because of the changes of the board and because I do think that she's done an excellent job up there of trying to manage a difficult position. I also know that during one of the meetings here, too, we had the Blouses speak very highly of Anne Marie. So I was impressed with that, and I'm hoping, and I'm glad she's doing a great job, and I want to thank her for that.
Yeah, I've spoke to a couple of recreation members, and I'm hearing the same exact thing, so
Yep.
thank you to Anne Marie, and good luck in the next 3 years.
So, are we done with the appointments, Mary?
I believe so.
We're done, correct? No twists or turns or anything?
Can't wait to see how this is all memorialized in the minutes. It should be interesting, Mary.
In about 15 minutes, you'll be able to read it on Facebook.
Oh, I think you might be able to now.
One-day liquor licenses. We have Shari Doran from Hanson, Saturday, July 8th, 7 to 11 p.m. I'm sorry.
Don't say what it is, just.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it was.
You got ahead of me a little bit, sorry.
Motion been made, is it seconded?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0.
Yeah, but everything is all set.
Yeah, everything's fine.
Mike, we have nothing under
It
old
almost wasn't.
business, so we're good there, right?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. The next item we have is to approve the June 13, 2017 minutes,
Motion?
item 12.
Second.
Motion been made
There
and
was
seconded?
something- Oh,
Laura?
yeah, I had something, Mary. If you can go back and check, but I'm fairly certain that Michelle Mills said that she was on the Cohasset, and you had put Situate in there.
Oh, okay, I will double check her.
And, like, almost certain of it,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Other than that, I had no.
Did you hear the audio? Yeah?
No.
That was a shot, no. Sorry, Carol, that was a shot on the audio.
Yeah, we
versions.
weren't on.
Remember that one, Mary? No? All right, okay. So I wouldn't have got that. Wow, good for you, you know. All right, so with the minor amendment or check, motion has been made and seconded to approve, correct?
I'm sorry, who moved it and seconded it? I missed it.
I did.
I seconded it, Don moved it.
Yeah.
With, as amended, gentlemen, would that be correct? As
Yes,
by
as
Laura?
amended, yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right, anything else further?
Nope.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0, nice job, Mary, on this, okay. And I think we're not going to be going into executive session, is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, the, the matter that I had hoped to bring before the board for consideration has not been consummated yet, so.
Okay, so we're going to table the executive session for tonight. Next, then, we have the committee reports, Monpont Pond Committee, Mr. Howard.
They've treated Monpont Pond and everything looks excellent, and the cyanobacteria count is under 1,000.
Wow.
That's terrific. Did we have, and we had some rain over the weekend, and hopefully it contributes to the water amounts.
I think it's done.
How's Brockton taken out of Silver Lake, still?
Well, they aren't taking any, well, they're still taking 10, 11 million gallons out.
Thank you, Donnie.
And the lake itself will rejuvenate at 4 million, and if they use Aquaria, they can get another 4, but they're still 3 million gallons short.
Short.
I don't know where they're getting it and how they can sell it, but that's what they're trying to do.
Thank you. Next, we have the final Plymouth County Hospital Reuse Committee, Mr. Howard.
Yeah, that's gonna be Thursday night.
What's the next step? What's the next step, Donnie? Trying to figure out what to do up there? Come up with some
Yeah,
options?
it's, It's gonna be up to the townspeople. And I hope that by the meeting in October, people will be able to vote what they wanna do up there.
That would be awesome.
Excellent. So bring,
Mary Ann posted
That's what we're
pictures
having a
of it.
meeting for Thursday night, Mike, we're gonna have it here, right?
Mary Ann posted pictures of that field.
Yeah.
You'd never even know that anything
No.
was there. It looks
No, it looks
fantastic.
fantastic, it
Yeah.
really is. The only thing my concern is the pile of sand is still there.
is it still there?
And we're gonna discuss that
Later?
Thursday.
Oh, okay. Because I know you brought it up at the last meeting,
Yeah.
too.
Yes. Well, I think it should be, that's one of the things I thought that was included in the demolition, was get rid of that at the same time, and it's still up there, and
Yeah.
I just don't wanna see things torn up to get rid of that,
Okay.
where it's all been completed. It really looks excellent up there, it really does.
Have to go up there.
Been a long time.
There's another thing, I don't know, I haven't talked to Bob about it, but I think possibly when it is completed up there, I think there ought to be some of those Jersey barriers put across on High Street by the granite openings and close it off behind the food pantry so that nobody can go back through that area anymore. I think it might be a wise idea.
Very much so.
People will probably try to rip it up and,
Well, I mean, you just don't want to,
Yep.
if you open it up, kids will get in there with automobiles
That's
and
what I
tear
mean.
it all up and,
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Donnie. I gotta take it right up there myself. The Hanson School Repair Committee, Mr. Hickey,
Nothing to report.
nothing to report at this time. The Highway Building Committee, Mr. Mitchell.
I've reached out to Weston and Sampson, that's the company that's doing the engineering, and I'm just waiting for a call back, and hopefully we're gonna have a meeting within the next couple of weeks, you know?
Get
You know,
status.
with holidays and summer and so,
Vacation,
yeah, so I'm trying to get it up and going, and I will let you know when we do.
well, circling back to the Hanson School Repair Committee, so who's the chair of that now?
Well, they have to meet and.
They haven't met.
You guys
yeah.
have got to like
Reorganize.
resurrect the whole thing?
I have some ideas, I
Yeah.
don't know if they'll go for them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with any repairs, like on the roof, the kids are so light that we could get the kids to go up
Oh, sure.
and do
Why
it.
not? Have them work off
Yeah,
their
I
tuition.
figure that, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
You know,
great.
pay off the school
That's,
lunch or
that'll
whatever.
save us money.
Start on the middle school roof, that'd be good. We've done McQuon and we've done.
Give them a breakfast. I mean,
So with that, Mr. Chairman, a motion to adjourn.
second,
Motion has been made and seconded to adjourn. Further discussion?
You'll get the second.
I have one.
Further
Get the
discussion, no
second.
further discussion. If there's no further discussion, this meeting's adjourned. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
5-0, meeting is adjourned.
Good night, folks. Thank
Have
you,
a good
Carol.
night.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Tracy.
Carol.
And